It's time. Okay.
Woo. Woo.
All right. This is my this is only my third time hosting, so bear with me. Let's start this show, shall we? Let's start. Right. So, welcome everybody, ladies, gents, boys and girls, MBs of all ages. Welcome to Until Further Notice, a show hosted by me, danabo, on Friday nights to cover that hole in your debate heart. While there's no hippy dippy, and while there's no drunken debates, I will be doing this every single time there isn't one of those shows, just so you lovely people in the audience have something to watch on your Friday nights. We're going to go around with intros after I explain the rules briefly. Now, there's a few changes between my panel, the hippy dippy, and the drunken debates. So let's do a cold read of the rules, shall we? General rules for Until Further Notice. I want to keep it civil at all times, please. Debates can get heated, but remember, your example is emulated by the chat. We wish to foster an environment of discussion, not name calling. I've got my work cut out for me on this panel. Streaming the debate on your own personal channel is 100% allowed and even encouraged. You can also use my page to rip content from if needed. I will be recording it too, so just ask me for the video and I'll hand that over if you need it. Harassing other panelists before, during, or after the stream will not be tolerated. This includes telling your chat to do the same. I will take great effort in ensuring my own chat does not attack, name call, or harass anyone appearing on the panel. We want a welcoming environment. So no brigading, please. Now, rules for the topics. Each guest will get 2 minutes to give opening thoughts on each topic. Please do not interrupt during the opening. The topic will then go into open discussion for 45 minutes, where interruption is allowed, but please be civil and interrupt only when there's space to do so. If you're unable to speak, please raise your hand, and I will note you down in Dylan Burns' little notebook I got especially from him. He mailed it out to me, and I'll put you in the queue next to speak. At the end of each topic, you will also have 2 minutes to close. I will raise my hand if your opening or closing statements are going over time. This is to signal you should wrap up within about 30 seconds. I'll let you finish your sentence, but please, if I'm holding my hand up while you're speaking, try and wrap it up. We don't want people going on for 10 minutes in their opening or closing and not having any time for open discussion. And if you fail to do so, I will interrupt you. If I'm speaking during any time of the debate, it's to moderate. Please remain quiet while I'm speaking. I will only interrupt to steer the conversation and stop people talking over each other, okay? And the main addition from my panel is the steel men chair. Everybody on the panel will get one steel men chair. You can hit anybody on the panel with it once per panel. This means that if you hit somebody with a chair, they will have to steel man your argument. And you get to decide whether they have steel man your argument. If they fail, they'll get a 5-minute mute. And this can be on opposing teams. So Rob can hit CTV with a steel chair if Rob thinks CTV is arguing in bad faith. Okay, that's the rules. Now we're going to do intros, and I'm going to start with Rob. If just introduce your channel and tell us who you are.
Question.
Yep.
How long does someone have to reply when the steel man chair is used?
Oh, as soon as they're hit, they have to reply immediately. That's it.
So, I mean, do they have like a minimum of, say, like 2 minutes to be able to, you know what I mean?
You don't get to gather your thoughts and then steel man it. As soon as you're hit with that chair, you reply. And if the person that you hit them with is not happy, then you get muted. Yeah.
Like immediately? Or like you get a chance?
The person interrupts with a steel chair, whack around the back of the head, argue in good faith now, please. Stop arguing in bad faith. You've been hit with a chair, stop it, and argue in good faith. So yeah, let's go with introductions. Mr. Rob of the Noor variety.
All right, thanks for having me. My name is RobNoerr. I'm on Twitch at RobNoerr, YouTube Normal America with RobNoerr, and I'm also on DLive at Normal America. I would call myself a conservative populist. I think that our government hasn't worked for people on the right, left, people of any skin color, any religion, any gender, etc. for the past 50 years. They're corrupt, intentionally cause division, and until we solve that, the rest of the issues are kind of irrelevant because our voices don't really matter that much in the grand scheme of things. But yeah, thanks for having me.
Thank you very much, Rob. DemonMama, please. Just a brief introduction on your channel.
Yes. Hello. By the way, just as a small courtesy, Rob, your audio levels are quite low. I've boosted you maximally in. Yeah. Okay. So everybody's concurring. Yeah, you might want to boost your audio just a tiny bit.
Sounds good.
Yes, no problem. My name is DemonMama. As you can see below, my website is demonmama.com, which links to all of my channels and all of the fun stuff that I have. I multi-stream, so you can check me out on basically any platform of your choosing. I'm a political edutainer. Sometimes I stumble on my words like that, but I like to talk about all kinds of things. And are we also? Sorry, I'm sorry. I'm not used to this particular panel format yet. Are we doing our intro statements on the topic as well, or just us?
Just you.
Okay, cool. Yeah, so if you're interested in learning about politics in a fun, high energy, very memey, but very informative format, you want to come check me out. I do a lot of debates, I do a lot of discussions, and I dive deep on everything that I undertake. So it's good to be here. Thanks for having me.
Thank you, Demon. Mr. C of the TVs.
Well, there's no way she's ever dove as deep as me. So,
Sure.
1,000 feet underwater on a submarine, under the ocean, looking at the fishes and the mermaids under the sea. Right? See how that works? I am critically thinking veteran. I'm an American Christian constitutional conservative. And I'm very happy to be here tonight, to be able to talk to all of you fine people. Now, it must be said ahead of time, there's been a rambunctious side conversation that has been happening that the audience has not been privy to. So, the goal for CTV tonight is going to try to be as funny and as humorous as humanly possible. What you're going to see is Rob lay out some real hard facts, right? It's going to happen. What you're then going to see, right, is then Binx attempts to do something. I don't know what, right? I haven't figured it out yet. Phil, on the other hand, is going to be shilling hard for everyone, right? Josie and DemonMama, right? Well, Josie, I'm not sure what she's going to do, right? But DemonMama specifically is going to try to get on some like 15-minute like rant about like something, and like it's not going to completely paint a picture, but somehow, right, like it just ends. And when it ends, right, you're left there sitting. Where the fuck are we at again?
Yep. What is this
Right.
intro, CT? Come on.
No intro statement, mate.
I
Come on.
got you. I got
Come
you.
on.
I got you.
Me. Oh my god. I've been waiting forever.
The fuck is
See,
this
now you-
shit?
Let's
Just
go
get on with
now.
it.
Come on.
Fucking hell.
And Chud, like voice from nowhere, doesn't even have his little wrestling guy avatar. I was wanting you to have the
I wasn't
avatar
allowed.
up, Chud.
I wasn't allowed. Danabo said no dice. So there we
What? Danabo. Anyway, and then of course we got Maddie, right?
Finally. Jesus.
Maddie's going to be Maddie's going to be she's going to be Maddie. And I don't want to spoil it for you because when you see it, it's all the more special.
Oh,
All right. I think that was CTV's intro.
Truly touching.
Thank you, CTV. Josie, please.
Hey everybody, I'm Josie Rose Caballero, and thank you for having me today. This is going to be a very interesting night, I can tell. You can find me on Twitch. I go by JosieRoseC, like the letter C, on Twitch, and I am a I guess I'm a trans researcher by trade. I work as a project manager for the National Center for Transgender Equality, and I also worked as I also worked in politics for 10 years as well, political management and consulting for quite some time. And before that, I used to be a veteran, and I used to be a reactor operator in the USS Navy. So, USS Navy. Wow, U.S. Navy. So this is going to be a great panel. I don't need to give everybody their introductions, but this is me. I'm excited. Let's do this.
Thank you, Josie. And Mr. KOE.
Why, thank you, sir. Welcome one and all to this very special Danabo panel. I am the devilishly handsome outlaw himself, your king of extreme, Phil KOE. You can find me at KOE Nation on YouTube and Twitch. And this evening, I am going to prove to you why I am the prince and potentate of the political parlance. But you can also find me at Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast on YouTube and Spotify, and Big Buckin' Empire on YouTube, Facebook, and Twitch. You know it's the right place to be. Go there to get all of your KOE content. I am the man that is here to come and converse with all of you beautiful people to spread the word of loving your own life, for I am the man who loves his life. And I am just hoping to bring some of this power of positivity and make your own life better through extremeness. And we will all get there together. But folks, with all that being said, I yield back to you beautiful people.
Thank you very much, Mr. King of the Extreme. Mr. Chud of the Logic variety. Or is it that way?
Hello there. I'm ChudLogic. I'm a Marxist shit poster with British characteristics. I stream about a lot of different things, focus a lot on big tech, social media, meta, Twitch politics stuff, you know, all the good stuff. Drama. I love a bit of drama. Shoot me a follow on Twitch, ChudLogic. Shoot me a sub on YouTube, ChudLogic. Follow my producer at Irrational Chad on Twitter, because sadly I've been the victim of cancel culture twice, banned from Twitter twice. There we go. So yeah, I've come here today to discuss one of the most important topics that is extremely under discussed, which is of course cancel culture.
Don't forget abortion. All right. Binx, baby.
Hello?
Yeah, it's on.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, it's on.
Okay. Hi, I'm Binx. I'm a humble Bob Ross hot tub streamer by day, politics streamer by night. No idea why I'm here, I'll be honest with you. I was like a last resort pick, so I'm just here. All right. I'll do my best. Don't fucking don't like over expect on me, all right?
A+.
All right. Keep a straight face. Maddie, please.
Maddie, I guess I would describe myself as a pragmatic leftist in the real world. I am a political organizer and activist in the professional world. I am a creative director for an agency that works specifically with progressive candidates and organizations to create long-lasting change. I am from San Francisco. I am silly. I am the reason we are starting late. I am so sorry. Eyeliner's hard. And this lineup is insane. I'm so excited. And I'm gonna like leave the rest for when we are at each other's throats, because it's gonna be a good time. You're in for a treat.
Thank you, Maddie. Yeah, I'm kind of scared. I didn't expect all these people to say yes, and they did. So now I've got to try and moderate them. One last thing. I'm danabo, twitch.tv/danabo. I book panels. If you want to be on a show like this, if you want to be on the Hippy Dippy, if you want to be on Drunken Debates, if you want to be on Dr. Heem's political game show, go to my Discord. I've got a section there for booking and recruitment. Put your name in, and I'll help you get on a show like this. One last thing, please don't try this at home. These are professional debaters that are trained in the art of conversation. They are not taking this so seriously. They won't be hurt by this. No debaters were harmed in the making of this panel show. Once we finish the show, we'll all go back into the green room, and TTV will probably smoke a joint, and the rest of us will have a beer together. So with that, let's get
Wait a
into...
minute. You think I won't have the beer as well?
No, he's got
Let's be
moonshine.
real for a moment.
It's moonshine, right? You don't do...
Well, I drink the moonshine and a fucking beer. Right? I do it all.
Don't
Yeah.
it's not moonshine.
What
It
a
is
badass.
good. It is
Mm.
What a
potent, but it is
badass.
good.
Mm-hmm.
It's the
Especially
legend.
that apple pie. Oh my
Oh,
goodness.
Let's try and keep the joy in the mood.
You
And,
already know.
Let's keep the toxicity of that group DM out of it, and let's try and keep some joy in it, because that group DM is some... All right. Thank you very much, everyone. The topic for debate, the first topic, is cancel culture. I want you to give your opening thoughts on cancel culture, a general discussion on cancel culture, including recently hot tub streamers like Amaranth being demonetized, having their adverts removed from places like Twitch, and we're going to go back around the room. Thanks again, everyone, for joining us. Let's start with Maddie.
Cancel culture. Here's the thing about what you maybe have been told about cancel culture. Cancel culture isn't a new phenomenon. Cancel culture has existed for a very long time. The reason you hear people getting upset about cancel culture, lamenting cancel culture, is because it's no longer being dictated by a select few at the top. With the advent of social media, you have collective buy-in on certain issues, on determining whether or not someone is worth paying attention to, whether their attitude, whether their take on certain issues is worthy of being taken seriously. And when that person proves themselves to be bigoted or treat women terribly or a liar, we collectively then go and decide this person is not worthy of being taken seriously in public discourse. Now, this was something that used to be done by people in power. There was a whole span of time where McCarthyism ran rampant, and anyone that indicated they were sympathetic to communists or socialism were canceled. The Dixie Chicks were canceled. In fact, this has been happening from the right constantly. So it's cute that now they have decided that this is a bad issue. Even recently, a Black woman was denied tenure at a university because she dared to speak out about issues that were important to her. And there was enough of a backlash from alumni, right-leaning alumni, that they effectively were able to get her canceled from being on a tenure track. So this is not new. I think a more valid question about whether or not cancel culture is bad is when people pile on, especially when it comes to canceling or going after private citizens, people that aren't in the public eye. That's a discussion to be had. I think another discussion to be had that maybe we can explore today is people's capacity for redemption. At what point do we decide that someone has shown that they no longer are the person that expresses the views that we were deemed harmful? At what point do we decide that someone is worthy of redemption? Because I think one thing that we're seeing happen a lot is people being reamed for things that maybe they said 20 years ago that are no longer true.
All right, Maddie, I've got
And
to interrupt
maybe
you
they-
there. We've got a minute
Oh, I'm
over.
sorry.
So next time, right, what I'm going to
Well,
do...
I was waiting for you
Okay.
to signal.
What I'm going to do is I'm going to do this. All right?
Okay.
And that means you got 30 seconds left. So the next
Very
person...
exciting.
You
when I
heard my
start doing
take.
this...
You know how I feel.
When I start
Yep.
doing this, you've got 30 seconds left, right?
I was waiting for it, and I was like, this is a long minute.
It doesn't matter, because I'm going to go to
So-
Binx next, and he's going to, like, take 10 seconds, so it's fine. Binx.
Well, libs. Well, look, let me take you on a tour of the mausoleum of the canceled of 2021. Dr. Seuss, Mr. Potato Head, Firefly, Big Bang Theory. Right didn't do that. Conservatives didn't do that. Who did it? Who did it? That's right. The left. Thank you.
See, I knew we'd do that. Sure.
I'm confused though,
Why are you confused?
Hey, sorry.
because he used his right arm to point to the right.
No, he's mirrored. It's fine. Sure.
Oh,
Hello.
That's me.
Yeah, cancel culture. I mean, what is there to say about cancel culture that hasn't already broadly been said? Listen, Mr. Potato Head and Dr. Zeus and whatever fucking dumb fuck shit these write-alls are going to complain about. Who fucking cares? None of these things are cancelled. It's just conservatives whining like little fucking babies over nonsense, okay? The real true problem with cancel culture isn't that it targets sometimes celebrities. You know, celebrities being held to account a bit more is probably a good thing. It's when it targets the little people. It's when it targets the nobodies, or it's when it targets people who don't really deserve it. That's when cancel culture really becomes an issue. And also, it's quite closely aligned often with workers' rights issues, because people will say things online and people will try and instigate real world impacts in their jobs outside of the online realm. And it's something broadly that I will disagree with. Further to that, you can move on to talk about big tech and the effect on that. That links quite nicely into the piece about the streamers and Amaranth getting advertising revenue taken away. Anyone that's gone issue with big tech platforms and overreach should have an issue with what happened to Amaranth, because regardless of what your opinion is on hot tub streams, Amaranth was demonetized without notice from Twitch. Completely unacceptable, terrible, the kind of thing that people would complain about if it happened to some rightoid. And in some ways, sometimes I'll have some sympathy for that. So if you feel that way about your favorite rightoid getting demonetized, you should have the same perspective with Amaranth, regardless of your perspective on hot tub streams. And that's it. That's my piece.
Thank you very much, Chud. CTV, where's he gone? Let's go to Phil.
Well, thank you, sir. Now, what was a big tragedy for me in all this is my hot tub Twitch was canceled and I was demonetized. Oh God, like the millions of fans that I had just daily to see this beautiful, beautiful form getting into a hot tub. I know this is terrible. This is terrible. But now to keep in mind something, John Stuart Mills once said, and this is why cancel culture is so bad, because it's trying to eliminate ideas from even being discussed, from even being talked about. John Stuart Mills once said that if all in society agreed on the truth or beauty or value of one proposition or another, except one person, it would be more important. It would be extra important that that one heretic, that one person who thinks differently, be heard. It would be extra important. That person's opinion needs extra protection, because it's always valuable to be able to establish first principles. You know what? Come to think of it, how can I prove the earth is round? Here's somebody who says that it's flat. How can I use first principles and actually establish this? So whenever you do try to silence somebody, you have, and I'll just straight up quote Christopher Hitchens here, when you do try to silence someone else, you have made a rod for your own back. Because whenever you silence someone, you have made yourself a prisoner of your own action, because now you cannot be exposed to a thought or an idea that you may have been able to wrestle around in your own head yourself. And now something else to think about. We've got this we were kind of joking around about Dr. Seuss and some of these other things, and they're silly, but think about this. And how much more time is it going to take before the canceled side of the library is so much more full, so much more beautiful, so much more elegant, so much more full of the stories and the flaws that actually make our lives, rather than the homogenized, sanitized, and pasteurized side of the fit for our normalized consumption side of the library, where it's all now fit for modern consumption. So I think, folks, keep in mind, this is a terribly bad thing. Make the best of the time that you have left. Resist it while you can. If there's an idea that you knew on Monday and you are not allowed to think about it, talk about it, know about it, access it on Tuesday, your freedom has been restricted in a rather significant way, folks. And with that, I yield back to you beautiful people.
Thank you very much, Phil. Josie, please.
Okay. I was actually going to use John Stuart Mill, but I'm going to use it a little bit differently. Yeah, I've actually read that novella and how John Stuart Mill breaks it in the arguments, but I'll get there in a moment. So one thing we have to make sure that this is not a new phenomenon. Throughout history, people have been quote unquote canceling people because of bad things that they have done. So if you think about society and how free speech works, like, it's okay for people to be like, hey, that's morally reprehensible. You should not have a platform. This has happened for a long time. In fact, sometimes they even take people's heads off. If you look at like the Revolutionary War, where they literally canceled the lives of the ruling class that were ruling them. So the fact of the matter is, this is not new. Now, the thing that's annoying to the conservative right on this one, and why cancel culture is so annoying, is because their views on face are pretty reprehensible. So when you're going against like trans children, or you're going against people who are marginalized in communities, you don't like bullies. I don't know why people like bullies all of a sudden. Like, it's always been the thing to cancel the bully, right? Because the bully is a bully and we should do things. So now I'm going to get back to John Stuart Mill. John Stuart Mill speaks about liberty and how we use our free speech as a shield against both the bully and the eagle that we put into place. The eagle being the United States government in this case, to ensure that the bullies are being bullied by the eagle because the bullies hurt the marginalized people. Now, liberty allows us to use free speech. Now, one thing that John Stuart Mill talks about, and when you were talking about flat Earth, is the fact that we can have the conversation and everybody can say 100 to 1. It's like the Earth is a globe. Stop being ridiculous. And then that person's voice is usually just snuffed out because of the preponderance of evidence of everybody around them. So this is nothing more than free speech being fought with free speech, and there is one side that is losing, and that's why they're using buzzwords like cancel culture to try to say that, oh, this is so unfair, this is a cultural phenomenon. No, it's not. It's been here. It's just got a new name. Remember the war on Christmas? That was a thing too. Remember when the left was trying to cancel Christmas? Oh yeah. That's what happened before, and it was just we named it something different. It's not the culture war anymore. It's cancel culture. So this is nothing new. I think these are people just virtue signaling and getting angry. So I'm ready for this debate. Thanks.
Thank you very much, Josie. CTV, you're back with us.
Yeah, I had to take my blood pressure medicine.
Okay, cool.
Yeah.
You'll need it. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, I mean, you know,
Can I have
being
some?
an old guy.
Yeah, you better get that in on the front end of this panel.
Yeah, get it in on the front end because you know it's going to go up. So, cancel culture, right? Is this a new phenomenon? No. How far back does it go? Thousands of years. It goes back a long ass time. You know what? As a matter of fact, in the Roman Empire from the year 500 to like 1500, right? They actually used to burn people's Bibles and their owners. Used to burn the Bible and the owner of the Bible. Did you hear me, folks? Burn the Bible and the owner. Now, how does that matter to today
One more
in
time?
cancel culture, right? Huh? Is it 1 minute?
One more time, I didn't hear it.
Oh. Well, now I got interrupted. Jesus, Binx.
I'll give you extra
Like,
time.
I
It's
don't
fine. Go,
fucking
go,
talk
go.
on Binx. Now you just got to interrupt me, and then now I just got to fucking deal with this shit, right? Like a minute ago, I had like this whole fucking thing laid out, and now you want to just fucking jump in here, and then now I got to fucking go off on this. Good thing I took my fucking blood pressure medicine, because the shit's done gone up now. So, I don't know what the fuck we're doing, but we'll see what we get into in the conversation, because now it's fucked.
This is fun.
It's fucked.
White Toyd in fighting. Okay.
DemonMama, please.
Yeah. Well, God, there was a lot of things said. There was a piece of Maddie's that I think that we've now reiterated that, you know, cancel culture is not some sort of new phenomenon. But the problem that I always have with cancel culture is that people seem to use it as basically a personal term. It seems to mean something different to every single person that uses it. Was it cancel culture when Socrates was forced to drink hemlock? Was it cancel culture when the Nazi youth raided the Institute for Sexual Studies, run by the Jewish doctor Magnus Hirschfeld, destroying 100 years of trans and LGBT science? I don't know. Was it cancel culture when Hasbro moderately changed the branding of their brand of Mr. Potato Head to just Potato Head? Mr. Potato Head is still made. It's just that instead of Mrs. Potato Head being a sub-genre of Mr. Potato Head, they are both subgenres of Potato Head. Was it cancel culture when the Dr. Seuss's family that owns his books decided to stop printing a racist book, but none of those books are banned or prevented from being enjoyed? I have no idea. People don't really seem to know what cancel culture actually means, and they bring up all kinds of unrelated things. So I guess it's going to really depend on what we want to talk about. For me, I tend to focus on more serious issues. Like, for example, right now, the fact that in the United States, multiple states are currently trying to pass laws that will ban any health education about LGBT people. So you will not be able to legally teach LGBT youth how to take care of their bodies in health class or sex ed. I tend to think it's cancel culture, or at least maybe emblematic of the more problematic elements of cancel culture, when states like Tennessee pass a law that says that you have to put a sign on your business if you allow trans people to use the bathroom there. I don't know. What are we going to be talking about? I have no idea. So far, by the topics brought up, it seems like just about everything. It seems like, I don't know, burning of books is the same as Mr. Potato Head. But hopefully we'll be able to find our way through this strange, mystical land and arrive at something. Anyway, that's all I got to say for now.
Thank you, DemonMama. And last but not least,
You're very welcome. You're very welcome.
Rob of the Noor.
Okay, so I do agree that there's a lot of things that cancel culture comes to mean, and some are more important than others. Mr. Potato and shit like that, I could give two shits less about. I don't care, not because it was just a branding thing. Dr. Seuss is the same thing. It's not just because of the specifics. I just don't care. If a corporation wants to bow to a bunch of people saying, we think that we're going to press you, that's on the corporation. Don't really care. I think it's funny when people want to cancel certain things. Like, for example, the song Baby It's Cold Outside. Can't you see that a lot of the same people that you like, such as Jay-Z or, anyone who's in the rap game, 50 years from now, they're going to be people calling for them to be canceled. So it's just funny. The people calling for, I'm offended by some song 50 years ago, inevitably what they like will be canceled in the future, which I think is funny. However, I do think it's more important that we see individuals, as ChudLogic kind of spoke to, that are gone after. This is predominantly done on the left. You see them constantly trying to go after tweets that they had in high school, yearbook photos, things like that, and trying to demonize people. I tell young people all the time, if you want to have fun in life and you want to not be held accountable for something you said 30 years ago, you should consider being a conservative or a right winger, because the left will ruin your life. As long as you disagree with them. If you agree with them, you could be Joy Reid, say homophobic stuff, but then it's okay when you lie and say the FBI was investigating because you're hacked, and you'll keep your TV show and get to preach for other people to be canceled as well. There's also the idea of keeping certain things and ideas off of campuses. It's funny, DemonMama suggested some things in education. We constantly see people that she would probably cheer for rallying and using violence and intimidation to keep conservative speakers off campus. That is a form of cancel culture. We see conservative ideas largely being kept off campus. Josie probably agrees with that, because she thinks conservatism is reprehensible. Just goes to show you the fascist authoritarians they are. And lastly, the idea that this isn't something that's new. They're cheering for corporations that control something like 80% of our discourse that happens to be able to selectively punish people based on their ideology. We see how this worked with them canceling people like Facebook, YouTube, other places on COVID, particularly saying that this possibly came from a lab. We now see that it's increasingly likely it did come from a lab. We see them censoring people like Ron DeSantis, who had a panel of health experts on COVID. DeSantis, who's been the best governor on COVID. This was censored off social media. So this is being used, and eventually what's going to happen because of this is these corporations will be kingmakers. Whoever they allow to speak and the ideologies they allow to speak will be the ones that get power. So it's funny watching the left cheer for corporations to be able to pick and choose what political ideology gets to be in power next.
I mean, are we in the open segment now?
Engage. And remember, everybody,
So
you've
the
got to
left
still
is going to do whatever
wait,
they have to do to get total power.
wait.
Rob,
Wait. Remember, everyone, you've got a steel man chair. If you think someone's arguing in bad faith, hit them with it, and they have to argue in good faith. Engage. DemonMama.
Yeah. I don't know. All right. Okay.
Yeah, so this is where we're going. We're going to go
all
like,
right,
we're going to go like
Stick,
super
Don't start
fast.
like this. Come on, DemonMama,
This is
please.
right.
For real? Are we getting off to this already? Jesus.
Come on, DemonMama.
I don't think a single one of the left-leaning people on this panel brought up anything to do with supporting corporations. Like, I don't know where this comes from. It just sounds to me like most of the right-wingers on this panel have a preconceived notion of who they're arguing against, and it seems to be kind of like uninformed, like Democratic wine moms, which is like, all right, if you want to do that, maybe take it to a different panel. But I'm somebody who has been the victim, according to RobNoerr's definition, of cancel culture. I did a video debunking the claims of a massive conspiracy theory channel, which was explicitly lying about information on COVID. I did a simple response because, I believe in the arena of ideas very strongly. And my video, which had only at the time 120 views, one of the first videos I ever put up, got taken down, has not been restored, and the video that I was debunking has stayed up. So it's interesting that you should say that, oh, it's the left going after all this, when, as it turns out, it seems like a lot of the people on this panel, and I think actually ChudLogic as well, has been unrightly banned from both Twitch and YouTube at various times. And another interesting thing is, does anybody remember just a year ago when it was discovered that YouTube was suppressing videos that contained the words or topics related to LGBT individuals? We forgot about that one. No, nobody here on this panel is advocating that social media sites should be the kingmakers of anything. In fact, most of us, including myself, talk about it very regularly that this should not be the case. However, we also are capable of rationally approaching issues like, well, I don't know, when Donald Trump is literally the president of the United States is vastly violating the TOS of Twitter, in addition to causing active harm to an ongoing election. I think that a lot of us can agree that, hey, maybe it's okay for them to put a warning on there or disable his account for a while, seeing as how he's flagrantly breaking the rules of a site as they currently stand. I don't know. I guess the thing about this topic that always frustrates me is that we can never
I called it to begin with that you were just going to just go on a fucking diatribe, and then it was
Is
just
that
not
gish
going to make
galloping? Is that gish galloping that we see?
What it sounds like.
Gish galloping.
Throw the chair.
Hey, on the left, don't censor Danabo now, right? Like you did to
why
Dylan.
doesn't
He's
someone
allowing
fucking
gish galloping,
interrupt, you
right?
fucking whiners,
That was
you
actually pretty
fucking
funny.
whiny babies. Just fucking interrupt if you got a problem. Stop fucking
There you are.
whining and just interrupt.
It's like, come on, bring the point around so that somebody can. You make 6 fucking points.
How long do I let this go on for? Okay. What I would have done if somebody had their hand up, I would have interrupted and said this person goes next. But nobody was holding their hand up, so we just let DemonMama go. It was up to you guys to hold your hand up. If you want to go next, hold your hand up. I'll put you down in my little book that I got from Dylan Burns.
I didn't know about the hand rule.
I even drew a little picture of Dylan. Look, there's a little
I
picture
know
of
it's hard
Dylan
for
in my
some
Dylan
people.
Burns
Aw,
notepad. I've got little.
such a talented
I've got all your
artist.
names there, right? If you put your hand up, you get to go next. And Phil had his hand up, so go on, Phil.
I mean, was I going to be allowed to
Wait,
finish
yeah,
my
but
sentence,
let's
or?
let her
If
finish.
you
like,
had
what-
something else to add, Demon, go for it, and then Phil
I mean,
next.
yeah, I generally like to finish my thought. I didn't know that this would cause what
You're on a
could be
panel.
discussion.
This ain't your stream, right?
Come on.
Nobody finishes their
Well,
thoughts on
I
Twitch
mean,
channel.
Come on.
It's very
We need to
interesting.
get
It's
you
this
different
kind of
Order.
CCTV.
this
We
is
need
the
to get you
sort
some
of thing.
indica.
Yeah, seriously, I gotta fucking chill that shit out.
Heavy
But I mean, it's
indica.
interesting. These grown men are so afraid of the words that I say that they literally scream and cry.
Oh, I'm a woman. I'm a victim.
Rob.
Where was that in that
Rob.
Discord chat? Right, we were
Rob.
talking about victimhood.
Rob.
Where was that at?
Sure.
Here we. Oh, a
Shush.
powerful woman speaking.
Shush.
Sure, that's what you are.
Rob, shush.
Did
you're
I
trying to
say any of that? I
cancel her
mean-
sentence.
Yeah, you're literally trying to cancel. It's interesting. I mean, thank you. I do appreciate that you see me as a powerful woman. I am, I guess, and I
No,
will
I don't
accept.
see
I
you
will.
as that.
I will accept. I mean, you just used your own words. I didn't
wouldn't say
describe
that
myself
either.
that way. But I
Mhm.
mean, that's fine. I mean, well, we all know you. are a
Incoherent
powerful woman.
rambler.
No,
I see you.
Can we let
thing about
Demon finish the point from like 10 minutes ago?
Point,
The view is actually
It's really
lacking.
interesting how it works, right?
The view is actually lacking, then just
Real
disprove it.
quick. Hey, real
Canceling
quick.
is just a
Okay, wait.
confession that your ideas
Clarification on the rules. Do we get one steel chair total, or do we get one steel chair per person?
One
Oh,
per
no, for
person.
the night.
All right, I'm gonna save mine for a little bit later.
Per
One per
person would
person.
Why do I have
I-
a feeling I'm gonna get whacked with a steel chair?
I
from
might
Demon
start
Man?
chucking them in if
I don't
this
have a feel- She's like
continues.
spray painting KOE right on it. It's gonna be awesome, folks.
Well, I mean, I think we know. I think we've
Rob's
all.
got his hand up.
All right, I'm going to give Demon
All
Mama
right.
30 seconds uninterrupted by anybody. If anybody interrupts, I'm muting them. 30 seconds, Demon Mama, then Phil.
Yeah.
please.
I was simply trying to make my point, but I mean, I think that we've established exactly what I'm talking about here, that this is a fundamentally unserious topic, and the people involved are usually more interested in whining about their own personal, grievances than actually tackling the issues at hand. So, yeah, with that, I'll cede my time, and we'll let the little fragile people get their turn in. All right.
Phil, please.
Well, that's so strange, Demon, because I haven't insulted any of your ideas, and I would really appreciate if you would extend me the same courtesy. So thank you. But anyway, so that's the thing you need to keep in mind, folks. If your views are actually as sound as you think they are, then you really don't need the cancel culture, because that's just confessing that your arguments are quite lacking, because you're saying my ideas cannot outshine these ideas in the arena of ideas. And so I need to cancel this person so they can't communicate with people. Because if your ideas were better, you wouldn't need the cancel culture. If you were able to actually disprove with arguments, you wouldn't need the cancel culture. That's just a confession that your ideas are lacking and you need a referee to come in and make sure that no, they're not allowed to talk. That idea is not allowed to get out. And folks, don't ever take security in the false security of consensus just because you think you're in the safely moral majority now, which, as we have seen, that is a moving target at best. If you're in the moral majority now, what was acceptable today is cancelable tomorrow. So just keep that in mind, folks. You're making a rod for your own back. If you support this shit, it's eventually going to come around to you.
Real quick question. Just a real quick clarifying question. What cancel culture did I advocate for in my statement? Do you have any idea? Because I don't recall advocating in favor of any of the forms of cancel culture I brought up. I simply was wondering what we're actually talking about. And as we have now had proven once again, apparently nobody has any idea. So I'm interested in what you actually think I was advocating for, if you have any idea.
Well, I mean, Rob has
I was actually responding to something Josie had said actually earlier about how we need to just get these ideas out. And it's like, well, if your ideas are truly as lacking as you think they are, or if you think your ideas are as good as they are, then you should be able to just defeat these bad or lacking ideas in the arena of ideas. And I believe sunlight is the best disinfectant. If an idea is truly lacking, then that's all you really need is to just shine the light of truth upon it and it will go away.
Yeah, I mean, right now, all three of us are, me and Josie and Maddie are all here on a panel.
We all agree, thank God.
And y'all are doing a perfectly good job dismantling your own ideas.
God damn, it's great. You saw it here, Phil
My
KOE.
ideas
We
can't
brought the
handle
left, the
sunlight
right,
'cause I'm a
all
vampire.
together.
Can we stop with the posturing a little bit? Because it's, we're not going to get a chance to speak,
all
are
right.
we? If
Can I
you're just posturing all the time, Phil, come on.
All right, I don't want to keep doing the
I am
hands.
the impresario of interrupting.
Wait.
Sorry.
Wait. I'm speaking. I'm only speaking to moderate. I'm not speaking to add to the conversation. I'm only speaking to moderate. Right. I don't want to keep getting this little notepad out. I'd like the conversation to flow. But we have got Rob, then Maddie in the queue. So if Rob and then Maddie, and then please let's try and keep it flowing. If you can't get in, if you can't jump in, put your hand up. I'll put you in Dylan's notebook, and we'll put you.
Wait,
We'll
I thought we had to do the hand. You said we had to do the hand.
If you can't get in, I want the conversation to flow naturally. If you can't get in, then put your hand up. But
Has anyone here had a conversation before?
I don't think so. I don't think so, Chud.
I wish there were rules.
Pretty awesome.
Right, Rob, then Maddie, please, and then let's go back into open.
First off, it's always funny to see someone who feels the need to put their preferred pronouns in their pick talk about other people being fragile. So good point there, DemonMama. Please, you have to call me the words that I want or else you're fragile. Now she has to interrupt me because she can't handle a strong man actually making points. So I can see, look how fragile she is. Hey, Josie, also can't handle a strong man speaking, huh?
No,
have to interrupt.
no.
I see you guys.
No, you're so fragile that us putting our pronouns on here.
That's not fragile at all. I think you can call me whatever you want. I don't feel the need to get personally aggrieved. I don't feel the need to get personally aggrieved. Notice how we had a special little section. DemonMama needed a special section so people couldn't interrupt her after she went on for 5 minutes. That's how fragile she is. So I'll continue my point. So yes, people that say are so fragile that they need to tell people that you have to call me certain words or pronouns. Yes, that's a level of fragility that's hilarious to hear than other people that are just commenting how inundated we are with your stupidity and your rambling, and we'd like you to wrap it up because you ain't saying shit. So it has nothing to do with fragility. I'm not interested in your question. You had your chance to speak. Second, you say no one's advocating for this sort of stuff. Josie literally said in her speech the conservatives deserve to be censored because their ideology is so reprehensible. It's absolute nonsense. And what happens is we see this narrative from the left constantly. You had no problem when people in the right were being censored by multinational corporations that largely control our narrative. You didn't have a problem when people were being kept off college campuses by people enacting some sort of violence. You didn't care about any of that. As soon as one of your videos gets taken down or something, it's, oh my goodness, my video got taken down. This is horrible. The reality is we could see that the establishment has been using this to go after people that disagree with them for a long time. That was predominantly conservatives. As I predicted, eventually it will come for the left as well. Then predictably, when it comes from the left, they whine and cry and say, why was I removed? What's going on with that? You say say that Trump deserved to be taken down. Trump didn't violate TOS any more than the New York Times, the average Democrats, etc., that claimed that the 2016 election was stolen, that spread misinformation about them all the time. Remember, we're talking about legitimate ideologies such as Trump supporters being kicked off in mass for discussing things that we heard Democrats discuss for 4 years, that the election was stolen. We see Democrats, friends of DemonMama, like an Antifa that she defends, repeatedly issue calls for violence and things like that on Twitter.
Watch the lefties
is allowed
get so
to stay
giddy
on
at
there,
the
but then
idea
they
of
go
writings
after
getting
selectively.
canceled.
They selectively go after then. Oh,
It's
but
gonna
people like
come
Trump
back
need
around.
to
Right,
down.
stop.
We can see that this occurs over and over again.
Rob. Right, I did my wavy hand thing. When I do that, you've got 30 seconds to finish, right? 30 seconds to finish when I do my wavy
I
hand
don't get
thing.
to finish my thought. Is that it?
Yeah,
DemonMama got to finish her sentence for
had
another.
30
When I wave my
seconds.
hands, you've got 30 seconds to finish what? When I do this, look. When I
It's a
do this,
metric of time.
you see this? You've
Sure,
got 30
sure.
seconds to finish. You got another 30 seconds uninterrupted, and then I think we need to let DemonMama respond to this, and then Maddie after.
Yeah,
No,
she's very
that's fair.
fragile. She'll have to respond. So,
I
yeah,
got
so you can see
fragile.
that you see all sorts of calls for violence. For example, the Nation of Islam,
nice,
Farrakhan, his
everyone.
leader, was still on there. You see all these people. So, yeah, it's selectively applied. Now the left is acting like it's not a big deal. They literally kicked Ron DeSantis off. They kicked COVID scientists that were talking about things weren't as it seemed. Those people ended up being right. But the left has no problem with that. They didn't. They thought it was totally cool. And that's what we see with corporations that are controlling our speech and will eventually control our politics, which they're more than happy to have, as long as it's on their side. As soon as it predictably gets against it, they'll cry and say it's not fair.
Thank you, Rob. DemonMama, I'll give you a brief time to respond to this. Yeah.
Appreciate that. So I mean, I think it's very obvious to the audience that RobNoerr has some very, very really weird fixation on me. But also, I mean, I don't recall us bringing up pronouns at all. But I don't think I mentioned pronouns in the slightest.
It's
but I
on
did
your,
note.
it's on your picture.
Oh
there,
yes,
isn't
I
it?
put that on my picture
Sure.
every
Yeah,
single
well,
time.
that is relevant to the discussion, right?
Yeah, of course, absolutely. I
Oh,
always.
you have them too. Great. Fragile.
I mean, is
Yeah.
is it fragile
I'm that bitch.
to offer people an easy way to tell your pronouns? I mean, to me, what it sounds like the definition of fragility would be seeing someone with pronouns that they put on every single panel. I always do. It's just what I believe in. And having, people melt down about it. That to me sounds like fragility. In fact, that to me sounds like some sort of weird convoluted form of cancel culture, oddly enough. I don't know what's going on over there, but
Something bad.
are you gonna be okay? Hey,
Oh, I'm fine. I'm just mocking you, absurd leftists, and how you think that you're funny or smart. You guys are so stupid. It's fragile to say, I can't handle if people call me what they want, and so I have to put recommendations. And you would be the first to whine and cry if someone refused to call you those pronouns. Now, I actually respect people that are trans and don't intentionally misgender them, but let's be honest, you're fragile, and that's why you put those pronouns out there. You're the one who started the attack saying other people were fragile, so don't play the victim like you always do. You're going to start talking about electrodes on testicles again like you did last time? Because you can't ever make a point without making yourself the
talking
victim?
about your
Is that what you're going to
sexual
do?
assault.
Cancel culture.
Am I allowed to
What's-
finish?
what's-
Am I allowed to finish now, Danabo?
What was that? All right, DemonMama, please.
Exactly.
Yeah. Okay. So, first of all, the idea that that me putting my pronouns passively in my little name here is somehow like fragile or something is ridiculous. I will say though, it is interesting to me because on this platform I do receive quite a lot of very explicit transphobia, and I'm glad that you noticed and that you at least said openly that that you do believe that it is respectful and kind and good, therefore, to respect people's pronouns. I respect yours and you're respecting mine. I'm just very nice in that I also allow people to see them very easily. It makes it very easy and not awkward for anyone. It's actually incredibly, incredibly chill and easy to do. Now, I understand if that gets you very bothered because I don't really know why. I mean, I don't know. You literally just went on a tirade, and
You
everybody
went on a tirade
like
calling
you-
people fragile because you were going on a
Literally
5-minute
brought it
tirade
up.
yourself. And when someone's that's why
Literally
you call
brought
people
it
fragile.
up.
Again, let's not act like in the Discord you weren't calling me names and insulting my appearance. And now
Look,
you're going to
forget the
oh, it's
Discord,
important
okay?
to
Going
be
in the
civil.
DM?
It's
Who
important.
cares about the DMs?
I mean,
We
you
can give it a
gotta
reputation.
stop
It's
the battle
actual
here,
victim.
folks.
That's it.
All right.
Okay.
Are you
That's all you
triggered
know.
still
Once
by the
again,
DMs?
I have
Bringing
not
it up
finished this-
now?
All right,
I don't
you
think
kids, I'm going to turn this car right around unless you kids all start getting along.
That's
okay?
what I was just
No,
about to
Dad.
say.
I'm
Oh,
just
my God,
look. I'm just so
Dad.
look. There's one thing I'm just really confused about. How is it, DemonMama, that you say I understand like why these people do these things, and then in the very next sentence say I don't understand what they're doing?
I don't know what you're talking about. What does that mean?
I'm fucking asking you. Right?
Yeah,
How are you going to say that you understand what's going on here, and then in the next sentence say you don't understand?
What are you
Right?
referring to? Your sentence is not.
What
Your
you
question is not
just
making sense.
said.
Can you restate that part?
Court stenographer, check back for us.
Maddie, you had your hand up a long time
Well,
ago.
I mean, am I ever just real quick, Danabo? I just want to be sure that you're fine with not allowing me to finish that previous
I
argument.
thought you were
seeing as I
finished. Sorry,
never-
DemonMama.
I didn't. Oh, I never.
Twitch,
I haven't finished
nobody
the
gets to
sentence.
finish an argument. Come on.
Oh, I mean, it's fine. I mean, I'm
There's
perfectly
been so
fine
many
with that.
interruptions. I'm
But
not
again-
sure if you
Oh, I
finished or
agree
not.
with you. I mean, I agree. I haven't finished a single sentence. I mean, I don't even remember what I was talking about. I don't think we're even talking about cancel culture. This seems to be a panel that's mostly obsessed with me, which I mean, I'm flattered, to be completely honest.
Right.
But yeah,
Accuses other people of being fragile. Whines when
Five
people
whole
push
You had
back.
your turn.
There you go.
can
Demon
sit
Mama
and
in a
shut up
nutshell.
for
Good
like
point, am I
1
right?
minute.
All right,
go.
hold on.
Am I right?
One more. Wait.
Okay.
One more time. Wait.
Okay.
Right, I'm gonna have to serve a mute, everyone. Come on. Right, let's bring it back to the topic, please.
Yeah, you
The
take a drink.
audience hasn't got a clue what the group DMs are. Let's stop discussing group DMs. They have no idea what you're talking about. It's just some random thing in the clouds that they can't see that you're discussing here. There's no point in it. They don't know what the hell you're talking about. DemonMama, please, and then Maddie.
Sure. I'm trying to recall what we were even talking about. Maddie, you go ahead. I
Thank you.
don't even remember what we were talking about.
Damn it.
Hey,
Can I
you're
finish?
being constantly
Okay.
interrupted. It's not cool. Yeah. So, I mean, there's a lot I could respond to right now because in the time before when I raised my hand to this point in the conversation, boy, a lot has happened. But I guess one thing I would like to point out is that, like, if you attribute having preferred pronouns and just like having the respect to list them, just like I do my name so people know who they're talking to, if that is somehow indicative of fragility, bless your heart. But something I also want to bring up that I think is important when it comes to cancel culture is I know some people try to equate it with censorship because in a lot of cases it involves potentially deplatforming or whatever. But in other cases, I think it'd be dangerous to attribute like calling out really bad behavior, like someone who maybe has a history of sexual assault or sexual harassment with a lack of good ideas to counter them. Because
Those are just crimes.
by deplatforming them and calling out that behavior, we're holding people accountable for that bad behavior. And that effort isn't due to a lack of ideas. It's basically saying this is someone who is like causing real harm to people in the world. And we want to see accountability and have them held responsible for it. So I get that, like, again, the idea, cancel culture spans a lot of different things. So I want to be clear that when we're talking about it, this is an important component because for many people, they see something like cancel culture as the one avenue they have to hold people, especially people in power, accountable.
Yeah, I mean, I
describing
agree.
crimes.
I mean,
Yeah, but that's going to be a really expensive venture for you to get put into place.
Wait, Chud, we can't see
agree.
your hand, so Chud, go ahead.
I agree that, like, you know, when it's aimed at the right people, I agree with Maddie. Like, you know, I think that Jeffrey Epstein or what's the other guy, Harvey Weinstein, you know,
Yeah.
it used against them is great. The unfortunate reality, though, is that now we're at a stage where everyone's got access to social media to such a high degree that you get nobodies who are literally nobody that get targeted by this stuff. And there's a mob mentality that goes with it and stuff like that. I think that's the stuff that's wrong. And I think that's the stuff that we can probably all agree that goes too far sometimes. But the problem is you've got people like Rob who will say it's only the right that does this when there's a number of cases. Sorry, it's only the left that does this. When there's a number of cases of right-wingers engaging in this exact very behavior. There's been some very prominent examples of this. Probably one of the most prominent I would point to is when Mike Cernovich, a prominent right-wing activist, brought up old tweets of James Gunn, of him joking about things on Twitter, and managed to get him fired from directing a Disney film because of it. So
Theater too.
this narrative,
Yeah, that's bad too. It's all bad.
Yep.
Like,
Exactly.
that's
But
what we're
let's stop
getting
this
at.
narrative.
Just let people fucking live their lives. Shit.
Let's stop this
Come on.
narrative that it's one side or the other and just agree that people engage in this behavior. Further to that, though, in terms of the big tech piece and talking about big tech, the thing I'd ask the writer here is Donald Trump talked a big game about big tech and how much of a problem it was and how much of this corporate censorship is happening. What did he do when he was in office to stop
Nothing.
it? Fuck all. Nothing.
That's right.
Okay? So this is the problem for me. Republicans
Big
talk a big game.
criticisms of his legacy.
Sometimes Republicans say stuff and I agree with, but they're not doing anything about it. They didn't do anything when it was in office, and I don't think the Dems are. So we're kind of fucked, aren't we? Big tech have got the power, okay? There aren't any politicians that are willing to deal with it. We're just crabs in a bucket fighting about it, and everyone's getting fucked. That's my basic take.
The tech Illuminati. Yep.
So you're not wrong. Like, Trump deserves criticism. So do the Republicans. So do the Democrats. The truth is, Trump, incompetent and inept, or didn't realize. I think Trump was arrogant. He thought, unless they come after me, I don't give a shit if they go after my supporters. That's terrible. He should have seen the writing on the wall and did something before he was directly targeted. Totally agree. The idea that both sides do it is a cliche that's commonly used by the left to explain a lot of these things. Yes, you're right. Both sides do it. We saw it happening over and over and over and over and over again on the left, while basically most people on the left were silent about it. And then when the right eventually says, okay, we're going to fight back in similar ways, it doesn't mean that the right doing that is in the correct, but it was predictable. When you have the left constantly use this tool and try to silence people, of course the other side's going to play. To answer Maddie's question about pronouns, no, I'm not offended by someone asking for the pronouns. That doesn't make me fragile. The type of person, if we took pronouns out of it, and if you said, you're going to tell people, I can't handle it when people call me certain words, so I have to give a list of words that you have to call me. That's because you're fragile, and because you would be offended and demand people get canceled
Wait,
and
you
not be
think that's
platformed
happening?
if they didn't call you those, because you're fragile. And I'm not the one who brought it up initially. It was DemonMama, because she always says it can't be that someone's just like, okay, you've said enough, we're moving on. It always has to be that she's being personally attacked. That's just who she is. So
Sorry,
I do think it's worth pointing out
Sorry, I just want to quickly respond. Okay?
Took all of that.
So I
Quickly,
just want to
sir.
quickly respond, and I want to ask, when the Dixie Chicks were cancelled in 2003 for criticizing George Bush, was that in response? Was this arms race that you're talking about of cancel culture? Was that in response to left?
The Dixie Chicks
No.
were canceled way before that. They just sucked, right? They were
they
canceled way before that.
Yeah,
How were they
I was
Listen to
never a
wide
big
open
fan.
spaces and
The
try
narrative
not
is
to think,
nonsense.
okay?
The narrative
Now,
is
They
I
just
was
sucked.
about to
I mean,
say,
I don't
now-
know what to tell you.
Can't.
You know, since we're talking about
Big
titles,
anger.
everything. Actually, my buddy's got
Nobody
me this
goes
for
back and
Christmas. I
listens
am
to
actually
Dixie
a
Chicks, right? They go back and listen to Randy Travis.
I'm actually a
or,
titled Lord of
know,
the Scottish
Dwight
Highlands.
Yoakam.
You actually kind of have to refer to me as Lord Phil. I'm sorry. Like, I'm actually a titled Lord of Scotland. So sorry, I don't make the rules. So yes,
Chud,
Lord Phil
let me
of the
ask you-
Scottish Highlands.
Chud,
Awesome.
let me ask you, because I don't know this.
Wait, before this continues,
Dixie Chicks
Rob, before this continues, DemonMama was referenced directly. I would like DemonMama to be able to respond, please.
Just real quick, when I'm referenced
no,
directly
no,
by
no.
them, do I get the same opportunity to respond?
Yeah, of course, yeah.
Okay, cool.
Sweet.
Okay. Yeah. So, I mean, I've been referenced quite a lot, and I just want to point out that no, I did not actually bring up pronouns on this. You did. You can watch the VOD. That is just a matter of the. I think even Danabo can confirm that. But sure.
The almighty Danabo.
Kenny Rogers.
Whatever.
I mean,
I
the
didn't
audience.
say you brought them up. I said that you're the type of person that puts them up on the screen so everyone can see the pronouns that they have to call you. That's
Hey
what
Rob.
you do.
Hey Rob.
Does that
Real
make
quick
you
question:
upset?
Is in the
No,
corner of
not
your
upset at all.
excuse me, in the corner of your video there? What's that say? Can you tell me the words that are said right there?
It says RobNoerr. That's my name.
That's your name. Yeah. And your name, pronouns are both ways of identifying you. So you're really committing the exact same sin you're accusing me and others
No,
of.
it's absurd. Everyone has their
Look,
name listed,
but
their
why
name.
would- why
Everyone
do you-
knows, just like
Oh, everyone.
Danabo has.
That's
Twitch
not
TV,
exactly
Danabo
I was
there.
trying to
It's
talk.
just
I
a
was
way.
trying to talk.
No, it's not the same. The
Excuse
reason
me.
you put your
Excuse
pronouns.
me. I was trying to
You
talk.
can say excuse me.
Is this for real?
Go ahead. Go
Is
ahead.
this
Finish.
real?
Go ahead.
Yeah. I'm just wondering, because if you really weren't fragile, and this is following your own argumentation, would it not follow that I don't know, you wouldn't care what people call you at all? Why do you need to list your name? Are you so afraid that people are going to call you something incorrect? I don't know. Like, what if they started calling you, I don't know, like RobNoerr or something like that? Would you be perfectly fine with that? Why do you even bother listing it if you're so fragile?
If I may now. The reason I listed is because it's requested that all of us announce ourselves, and it's convenient for people to see the name of the people going. That's different. I'm not putting that there to say, if you don't call me RobNoerr, I'm going to be personally aggrieved. Could you just be quiet for a second? I'm going to be personally aggrieved. Are you telling me right now that you have she, her listed there, and if people didn't use she, her pronouns right now, you would be perfectly fine with it? Is that what you're telling me?
It's really interesting. I would just say, I'll use she, her pronouns. And if they refuse, I would treat it like all of the many other times that people have on these panels. It happens to me all the motherfucking time, and it's on video. I record all of it. So, you know, it's interesting. It's really funny that like you're bending over backwards. I don't think anybody in the audience is convinced right now.
I don't give a shit if your audience is convinced.
Oh,
What I give a shit is that you
audience
came on here and accused people of being fragile, and you're so fragile that you have to put the pronouns that you would like people to call you instead of the pronouns that they would choose on their own. That's how fragile you are.
Okay.
Damn, you have to put the name that people want.
Not that I'm emotional.
What is it?
You should not cast stones about people's fragility when we could go back to the last debate we had where you're just like everything's about electrodes being put on your head.
Forget Royal Rumble.
Right.
This is hell in itself.
All right, stop. Everybody, right. I'm talking, nobody else talk. I'm talking, nobody else talk. I think this back and forth between Rob and DemonMama has gone on far enough. I'd like to hear what other people have got to say. Josie and Binx.
Yeah. Okay. So I you know, this is really interesting because usually I know what to say, right? Usually I already have like an argument after somebody says something profound. God, nothing, because nothing has really been said other than like this arguments and things like that. And Rob, I just want to say this, that you're the one.
Josie, I
I'm doing
want
it right
you
now.
to steel man Rob's point right now.
Okay, fine.
Oh, steel chair. Wow.
Wait,
Right.
still not meaning. Wait. Let me clarify. So you're telling me to knock out his argument, right? Is that what you're meaning?
The
No,
best,
no,
the best
we're
fake
telling you to
version.
steel man it.
The best fake
You have to
version of his
steel man
argument.
his argument. You have to give the best possible interpretation of his argument that he would agree with.
Oh,
Oh, you get
okay.
muted.
Okay. Let's do this. All right.
And if he doesn't,
So
you're muted for 5 minutes.
she does it. Okay. All right. Fair. So, so the point that Rob is making is that he is okay. So I'm gonna make a Rob argument. Here we go. I don't like the fact that I have to change my language and the way that I perceive the world because it makes me not comfortable when I look and see different people and that I don't understand. So when I get irritated,
Just
I know.
mute.
Hey, you know
Just
what?
mute. Bye.
It's a dumb argument.
Mute.
It's impossible to steal, man.
It was a
No,
good.
no.
It was a good try.
It wasn't even close. The argument's
No.
real simple. The argument is if you're going to call other people fragile for no reason, which DemonMama did, then you probably shouldn't be the type of person that's saying, these are the pronouns that I request. Quite simple. I wouldn't have brought up the pronouns if she wasn't accusing other people of being fragile with no merit whatsoever.
Can I
Simple.
make a quick clarification to
No, you're
add some-
muted for 5 minutes, I believe.
No, I'm not. I'm sorry. I know you
Got
have a
him.
hard time. I know you have a hard time telling women apart, but we're different people actually.
Oh,
I
I look like
Josie and I,
Justin talking. I'm sorry.
Josie and I are
Wait a
different
minute.
people.
I don't.
I don't have difficulty telling you two apart.
Okay,
Oh, sorry.
interesting.
That
Well, I mean,
one
it
was-
seems like you do. Now,
Sorry, Demon Mama. That was well timed. I'm sorry. That
No.
was good timing there.
Oh,
Holy
thank
shit.
you. I appreciate that. Now, real quick, to
I'm the
respond to
sporty
this,
one.
just so you know, just so we're clear about what I was calling you fragile over, I was calling you fragile over the fact that I tried to make a statement and you literally were tripping over your own balls, desperately trying to scream over me because you wouldn't even let me finish my argument. In fact,
Wait,
I
how
would,
do you know he's dragging him on the floor?
I mean, I don't. I just assume, you know. There's just
I mean,
there's
you're
a certain
the
there's
one
a
giving
certain
him balls that are dragging the floor that he's
there's a-
tripping
there's a
over.
certain-
I'm
there's a
just
certain
asking that question.
slouch,
That
you know?
seemed
There's
kind
a-
of curious. I
There's a
don't know.
certain slouch that happens with people who have extra low hanging balls. You know, it's just you know, you
You should
you
do
love
what
to
I
see
do
it.
and put him in a purse.
Yeah, there you go. Good idea.
Yeah, anyways, the point was, I didn't even interrupt initially. It was you were going on for a long time. CTV, I was going to let you go. CTV was like, okay, are you going to wrap this up? And you accused people being
Okay,
fragile.
yeah,
and I
but
just pointed out
fair.
the absurdity of you calling people fragile. You had
But
plenty
Can we
of
talk
time.
about cancel culture now,
Extreme
please?
fragility.
No, we
talk about
can't. Bud,
cancel
we can't
culture.
because they're way too busy melting down over me existing and having pronouns she her. Hey, Rob, real quick, I'm gonna give you an opportunity
Sweet.
right now. Wait, listen. I think that this I think I've gotten to the bottom of this. Do you want to call me the T slur? Because you can right now. I won't even be offended. Go for it.
I don't know what the T slur is.
You don't know what the T slur is?
No.
You sure? You know, it's
Like
a slur for trans people.
Transsexual?
Oh no. Yeah, I know. It's right on the tip of your lip there. Do you
Hey,
want
can
to
we
gonna
not
call
do
you
that,
any slur.
please?
Let me
Right,
be
can we not
clear.
do
Let me
that?
be
Right.
clear here. if I could be clear, I don't have any problem with trans people whatsoever. There are plenty of like, I don't care what you identify
you
as.
seem
I don't give a
really,
shit
really
at all.
mad about
When
the fact that I have to
all
my
I'm pointing out is when someone, regardless of because they're trans, because
Proof
they're
is
white,
in the pudding,
because
Rob.
they're Asian,
Proof
because
is in the pudding, my friend.
whatever, that they feel the need to have specific instructions on the type of words you're allowed to call them, those people probably shouldn't accuse other people of being fragile. People that aren't fragile don't need to tell other people what types of nouns and pronouns they need to be called. Only fragile people feel the need to do that.
And yet here we are. You have your name up on the screen, choosing which nouns people will call you. I'm sure that
It is a label. It is a label. It is a label that is requested by people that are doing the stream, so that people. That's why he asked us to do an introduction as well, so that people can put a name to the face. That's different, and you're being disingenuous. That it's completely different than actually asking, aside from your name, that people call you specific pronouns and nouns. That's completely different.
Danabo, I just want to be clear. Do you have a rule against, I mean, I do this on every single panel on my whereby I have this exact same name on every single one. This was the first time I've ever been on your show. So it asked me to enter it in, and I typed in what I always type in, which is DemonMama.com, she, her. Do you have a problem with that, Danabo? Is that against the rules? Have I done something out of line?
Did you not hear Danabo read the fucking rules to begin with? Why is it that you need to have this call to authority all of a sudden?
I didn't ask you. Is your name Danabo? Is your name Danabo?
All right. I've been addressed. All right.
Discord to begin with.
I've been addressed. I've got to respond. Wait. Stop talking.
That's your name now.
I'm talking. Stop talking. I'll mute everyone. All right. I don't have a problem with putting whatever you want in there. I do have a bit of a problem with Maddies because that word is banned on the hippy dippy, but this is not the hippy dippy, so I don't know what to do on that one.
Girl,
I'll flip
Maddie.
a coin. But we've just spent we've spent nearly an hour arguing about DemonMama's pronouns. I think we'd like to move on. I think we're going to go into closing statements at this point.
I'd say, I thought the T word was Trotskyite, the worst thing you could ever be called that starts with a T, the most insulting thing possible, because you're just admitting that you've got such a low brain power if you're a Trotskyite. Like, there's really, so that's the worst T word possible. God, the door was open. I had to walk through.
Phil, I have a question. Can you tell me what a Trotskyite is?
Someone who basically subscribes the ideals of Lenin and Trotsky.
Okay, but can you tell me what are the ideals of Lenin and Trotsky?
The same horse shit that Marxist has been spewing out for a long time.
You don't even know what a Trotskyist is. You don't even know what a Trotskyite is. This is hilarious.
And on that note, we're going into closing statements.
Of different shit. So
good one. We're going to go into closing statements. All right. Stop. Everyone stop. We're going to go into closing statements. This has gone on for too long. Phil, stop. Everyone stop. All right, thank you. All right, we're going to go into closing statements. You've got 2 minutes to talk about cancel culture, not DemonMama's pronouns, please. Why? All right, and then we're going to go for a break. So we're going to start off.
Twitch.
DTV, please bring us back down to earth with a closing statement on cancel culture, please.
Back down to fucking earth? Jesus.
Please.
Felt like we were out there on some interplanetary orbit there for a while that just had to be centered around someone who has the need to feel like they need to be the center of attention, right? Someone with a guilty conscience? I don't know. Do you?
You talking about Rob?
But that's what it sounded
uninterrupted.
Like. Yeah, uninterrupted. What are you doing, right? Like the last time I was supposed to have time, I get fucking interrupted, right? What is this? Y'all know how specific frameworks of time work? I'm trying to bring it back down to reality.
You're free to talk. Go on.
And then there's Chud. Like, you can't even see him. Not even a little wrestling guy waving his hands in the air. Nothing, right? I don't know why the fuck that's a thing, right? So him not having the little wrestling guy, that needs to be canceled. So whoever put that rule into place needs to get canceled, right? Because cancel culture, right, is trying to just stop ideas because you don't like them, right? That's the whole idea, what I said to begin with regard to Bible burnings, right? Like, the reality is that words really cannot actually hurt you unless you let them, right? They just can't. This is why in the federal Constitution it spells out specifically that Congress shall make no law with regard to these things, right? So then that's where you go to your state constitution, and that's where that I bet, like this North Carolina state constitution that I'm most familiar with, it will tell you that people will be held for its abuse. So when you advocate for trying to control the people's language in this way, you have to do it at the state level, right? Because the federal constitution prevents you from doing that. So if you really have such a hard on for wanting to cancel people's, speech and everything, I suggest you do kind of what Idaho has started doing, which is controlling the networks that come inside their fucking state, and then you can control it there at your state level. Have fucking fun, right? But as far as the federal constitution is concerned, it's pretty fucking clear, right? So instead of trying to keep pushing this to nationalized corporations just making the fucking rules for everybody, start actually thinking about how you can use the governments that you have in place effectively instead of just crying about like, oh, someone said something that hurt my feelings, yada yada yada, and a bunch of bullshit, right? So here we go.
Thanks, CTV. Chud.
Well, there we have it. Another productive conversation about cancel culture has been achieved. Well done, everyone. Good job. Thank you for that. Yeah, I mean, obviously, we didn't really get to the bottom of anything. My position is the same. It's been the same for a while now. Big tech having all this control is bad. We need to somehow find a way to come together to try and deal with that. Where we have a position where we are making sure that there's stuff that is removed from the platform which we think should be, whilst at the same time ensuring that the freest, most widely possible conversation is able to be had. Sad we didn't get into the hot tub streams. Sad we didn't get into any conversation about Amaranth getting advertising removed. But yeah, I think that again, that is just another example of we argue like crabs in a bucket. Before you know it, big tech comes along, makes a decision, and it's out of our hands. So the sooner we can work together to fix some of these problems, the better. And that's it.
Thank you, Chud. Yeah. CTV brought us to the wrong planet, and then Chud brought us to Earth. Thank you. All right. We will go with Phil.
Why, thank you, sir. So, cancel culture, whether we like it or not, it is one of the defining topics of our day, especially if you are anywhere in the West and you have hookup to one of these things. If you're hooked up to the internet, for some reason, it seems to be one of the fucking most important things in your day. But, folks, it's the unfortunate reality. All artists that have done anything even slightly questionable, we even had a few come up earlier, eventually they're going to get canceled. So the choice you're going to have to make, folks, Eminem, Robert Downey Jr., eventually the Church of Woke is going to have to take them out, whether you like it or not. So the choice is yours, folks. Do you want Slim Shady or cancel culture? So that's the choice you're going to have to make, because very soon, sometime very soon, something precious to you is going to be on the cancel chopping block. And this is the time where we can either turn back and just allow the arena of ideas to play out, and sometimes a few ideas we don't like are going to make it out there, or we can make sure that every single idea has to be homogenized, pasteurized, and sanitized for our modern sterilized consumption. So that's really the choice we have to make in this future, folks. Are you going to want to go to the beautiful side of the library with all the stuff that was supposedly canceled, or the dull, dark, gray, paste fucking nonsense that's going to be the fucking allowed side of the library? The choice is yours, folks. We don't have a lot of time yet. Make best the time you got. And with that, I yield.
Thank you, Phil. Josie, please. You.
I think you have her muted, danabo.
Oh, server muted still. Sorry, I forgot.
Aww.
You got hit with a steel chair so bad that you couldn't speak. All right, Josie, thank you.
Okay. All right. Got it. All right.
Effective.
So first, this debate was sad. Because we never defined cancel culture. We just kind of like use this this amorphous term that was created by right wingers. And the reason that these terms are being created is why Potato Head and like Dr. Seuss and all of these things are brought up, because they'd rather talk about that than their shitty rollout of the COVID vaccine when they were trying to get it going. They'd rather talk about that than actually talk about the human rights that are being violated across this country. They'd rather talk about that than the crazy amount of poverty and racism that exists in this country. They'd rather talk about these cancel culture topics than the actual real problems and real governance. Because I can actually say CTV said that we need to use the government instead of crying. Well, considering that cancel culture was created by right wingers, it's literally what the right wing is doing. They're crying instead of governing, because never in any debate, in any conversation, have I ever seen a productive policy come out of a cancel culture debate. It's always a distraction from the real topics. As you can see, like ChudLogic said, when we started talking about cancel culture, everybody's heads exploded. It was ridiculous. And not everybody's. I think it was a lot of the fragility that was going on. And that is what actually caused this debate to go completely off the rails, because when you bring up cancel culture, it's amorphous. It means nothing. It was developed by South Park. One of the first times that South Park ever brought up cancel culture. And then it's like it's something that was just picked up and just used by the right wing to weaponize against the left. And it's just a completely gaslighting technique, because the right has been trying to go after the left, censoring us, stopping us from being able to speak in colleges. All of these things have actually been happening to us. So the gaslighting has happened, and I'm ready to move on to the next topic, because it just shows how worthless of a talking point or a topic cancel culture is, because it's just a whine fest from people who are upset because they don't know how to govern better.
Left always projects.
Wow, Phil. Thank you, Josie. Binx, baby.
You know what? I'm calling this whole panel hypocrites because I was canceled during this whole conversation. I had a point that was just going to blow
True.
all you motherfuckers out the water. I'm not going to say it now. You know what?
Gonna
Fine.
blow our minds. You had the ultimate truth of life, and you're holding it to yourself now. So sorry.
Binx, come on.
The server mute was real.
What
by
do you
the way.
mean, no? Come on.
Oh, Binx, don't do that. Come on, Binky, come on.
Oh, Binx, come on.
He's not going to do it.
Don't let him cancel you.
Okay,
Let
Maddie.
your voice be heard.
Maddie,
I want to
please.
hear you.
I'm so sorry, Binx.
Heartbreaking.
I'm going to cancel myself over canceling you. That was not okay. Yeah, it's a shame that this devolved into whatever the fuck that was, because there's actually a lot of really good subject matter that we could have covered. We could have covered the fact that Amaranth, or whatever the name is, I fucking forget it
You're
every
right.
time. Oh, fuck yeah. Yeah, I'm the smartest person alive. But yeah, we could talk about the fact that she was demonetized without a notification from Twitch because of her content. Like, I would have loved to have covered those things, and sort of like the validity of certain actions from like independent content creators being policed, and what that can do, especially when that person relies on the platform as a source of revenue. Like, that's the kind of stuff that I think would have been a really fascinating, fruitful debate. But instead, we had fucking children being upset because, as a courtesy, people like to put in their name pronouns so there's no question about it. So that rather than having to ask, it's right there. So I just think that's a shame. But in any case, I'm so excited for the rest of the debate, because I think, and I desperately hope, it will generate some quality discourse. Thank you, Danabo.
Thank you, Maddie. Okay. Before we go into the next one, I want to take a minute to promote shellshockcbd.com. Go to shellshockcbd.com and enter code danabo for 10% off all purchases. If you've got an hyperactive dog like this one, his name's Max. You can buy dog treats that have got CBD, and it will stop them from being anxious. They sell gummies that help you sleep and some other stuff. shellshockcbd.com. Enter code danabo, 10% off. And I hope you're ready for the next two people that speak. Rob, please go ahead.
Yeah, I'll just say real quick on this. Like, don't accuse people being fragile. If you're going to ask people to call you certain words, it's stupid. We see the fragility from so many people on the left that do this stuff. That's the point. On the actual things, I actually agree with ChudLogic. I mean, that's the overarching point. We have to decide on the left and the right that we're not going to leave corporations cancel. And you're right. Like, we're talking about individuals. We can't accept that. We're like, I don't understand the Dixie Chicks point. I don't have a problem if people decide we're not going to purchase this. I don't have a problem with that. That's completely different than corporations that control so much of the conversation, selectively telling people that they can no longer be part on that platform. Remember, we had Biden ask corporations to spy on Americans so that he could circumvent the Fourth Amendment. That just happened recently. I don't understand at all what Josie was talking about when she said conservatives on campuses are stopping leftists from speaking. It's literally the exact opposite. And the big point that I was trying to make is, in addition to the individuals, like, we literally had the oldest newspaper in this country, the New York Post, be canceled and people be removed for posting a story that they accurately talked about Hunter Biden's laptop. That Rasmussen then polled that 2 out of 3 Democrats said that it would have caused them to hesitate because Joe Biden is probably the big guy that was listed there that's been working in conjunction getting money from China. We had them censor people like Ron DeSantis when he had medical experts talking about how the lockdowns were disastrous from COVID, lockdowns that, by the way, severely affected people's lives. And they said it's because Ron DeSantis in Florida is going to be horrible. We now see that Florida probably did it better than almost any other state in the union, yet we allowed corporations to allow what the science was behind this. And that's the real problem. And the left can't deal with this because right now, as these corporations that are doing the censorship favor their candidates, they think that it's okay for it to happen. But I got news for everyone on the left here. I assume most of you aren't Joe Biden wasn't your first pick. When eventually someone on the left runs that you really like, they're going to suffer the same stuff. We saw it happen with Jill Stein. We see it happen with Tulsi Gabbard, etc. And so that's why we need to fight against this censorship now. People like Josie saying it's just whining. We should talk about real issues. I wanted to talk about real issues. This wasn't the topic that I picked, but people whined and wanted the topics to be changed. So we could talk about Joe Biden's disastrous 100 first days if you want, but instead, we're talking about cancel culture. It is a real issue, and it was selective. It was gone more after people on the right, and now that it's starting predictably to affect people on the left, all of a sudden the people on the left are like, oh my goodness, yeah, we need to do something about it.
Thank you, Rob. And yeah, I forgot to mention one of the topics was changed. Instead of Russiagate, we're going to be on the last topic discussion, the Texas abortion bill.
Well, this will be friendly. Yeah, we'll all get along on this.
We have got a middle topic that hasn't been announced that should be a bit of a palate cleanser. So look forward to that in a moment. And last but not least, DemonMama, I wanted you to have the final word on this one because you were referenced so much. Please, DemonMama.
Yeah, we all know what topic number 1 was. It was DemonMama and whether or not she's trans for using pronouns. I don't know. It was very strange. I mean, this went about as I expected it would go. This is how most conversations on cancel culture go. They don't actually go anywhere. They serve as basically a launching point for empty conspiracy mongering. We heard, I think, let me see what I remember. We heard Hunter Biden's laptop. We heard something about COVID denialism. We heard about anti-mask thing. I think I heard something about Paul McCartney being a clone in there somewhere, but that's how it usually goes.
George Harrison, sheesh.
Yeah. No, it was Paul. It was Paul. He was there. They thought he was dead. Remember Paul is dead. Come on, you got to know your conspiracy theories. Anyway, there's not a whole lot to say about this. I would have really liked talking about some like more solid issues, but let's be real. That's not what the term cancel culture is used for. People don't care about the fact that, like, I don't know, that it was enshrined in law only a couple decades ago that you couldn't make movies or TV shows or books about certain subjects, that like queer romance stories were literally censored and considered degenerate art here in America within a couple of decades ago, that horror art was once considered banned, and that those were pushed by Republicans, by the right wing in America. That, yeah, well, online, I will agree with ChudLogic and say that people are all kinds of things on social media. They whine about all kinds of stuff, get mad at each other, cancel each other over Mr. Potato Head's penis and whatever. But at the end of the day, the stuff that actually matters is what's getting pushed through into law. And that's what I'd like to talk about. But we all know why the right doesn't want to talk about that. And we all know why they instead chose to fixate on my pronouns that I didn't bring up. So I think the VOD will speak for itself. Anyway,
I was
All
right.
the lefties that are dissatisfied with this discussion, you should have just brought up the things you wanted to get brought up. You're here
Oh,
too.
I mean,
you
I-
can
I
talk
did
too.
try.
You're
Hey,
not
hey,
a
right.
passive
That's the
fucking
end. That's the end. Right.
Jesus.
Right. Thank you very much, everyone. We're gonna take a 5-minute break. Can you come back at 37, whatever time zone you're in? 37. 5-minute break. Everybody, go get a drink. Go and refresh yourselves. 5 minutes. We're back in 5. Thank you.
Thanks. I love you, Dad.
Love all you beautiful people out there.
All right, chat. We'll be back in 5 minutes. Everybody, go get a drink. We're going to do the second topic in a moment. We'll be back at 37 ish. Everyone should be back. Wow, that was something, right? But yeah, again, what I really want you to do is to go to shellshockcbd.com and enter code danabo at the checkout for 10% off all purchases. Shellshockcbd.com. You can buy these holo gummers. They've got Delta 8. They've got really comfortable clothing. Yeah, go over here. My headache didn't get any better, but we're gonna continue. We're gonna carry on with this. Also, if you are here and you enjoy things like Hippy Dippy, I want you to go and show Dylan some love. Go and donate to Dylan Burns TV. People that know he's had a rough time lately, and I would like any donations tonight to go to Dylan. So if anybody out there wanted to give me money, don't give me money, give it Dylan. But if you do want to buy something from shellshockcbd.com, go for it. 10% off, enter code danabo. I am going to go try and go bathroom. Oh no, I've had my second vaccine for a while, but I'll go to the bathroom. I'll be back in a sec. All right. Okay.
Of makeup foundation I had been using was like way too dark because I had just never not been tan. So I had to kind of relearn like what my actual skin tone was.
Right.
So yeah, it's been gorgeous weather here in San Francisco. Like today it was beautiful. Before this panel, my brother drove up from the South Bay and we took Ruby for a walk and just enjoyed getting some sun.
Mm-hmm.
It was nice. What more could you want? Like a beautiful sunny day out walking the dog. It was wonderful.
Okay.
Yeah.
I
Is-
know you get it.
is that-
CTV.
Mhm.
Everybody back? Hello, everybody. Just Josie.
Almost.
I'm gonna grab a beer really quickly. I'll be right back.
Okay.
I think I'll grab myself a beer.
That's right.
Nice. Actually, this evening, ladies and gentlemen, I'm sipping on some cognac. I figured, what the hell. And Josie, can you hear us? You're muted.
Have
right
I
now.
muted Josie again? I haven't.
I think. Yep. But she I just want to say.
No, she
Josie-
muted herself. Okay.
Oh, okay. My daughter's name is Josie, so whenever whenever there's somebody like ganging up on me, like, you leave her alone. What the like? So yeah, like I'm gonna kind of like I can't help it. That
Thank
might
you.
accidentally happen.
I'll take it.
So, but yeah,
It's a good
when I saw
name.
like I was like, oh, who's what? No way, she's already streaming. What the hell? But no, it's like you
Well,
got
not
some.
to ca-
You got some
Yeah?
explaining to do, miss. So, oh, Lord. Who have you been talking to on Twitch? Who's been filling your head with those evil Marxist ideas?
Good. Are you back?
Actually, we talk politics all the time, and we don't agree on everything,
Okay.
but it's just really fun.
No, Chud.
Yeah.
Chud?
I'm here.
Ah, okay,
Hello.
perfect. Okay, welcome back, everybody. All right,
Hello.
we're going to move on to topic 2. Thank you, everybody, for coming back. I always expect people to disappear during the intermission and never come back, especially after the first topic, because wow. Okay, now something different on my show is topic 2 is a palate cleanser. It is not a serious political topic. We're going to be doing fun time bonus topic. Topic 2 has not been announced. It's not been revealed. There may be an insider with some secret information. Who knows? All right. So we're going to start with topic 2. It is the best movie of the past decade. I want to go around the panel, and I want everyone to name the best movie of the past decade. Also, feel free to throw in the worst movie of the past decade, and that's the past 10 years. So anything, I'm going to say from 2010 onwards will be fine. And we're going to start with Binx, baby.
Best movie of the past decade. Okay. The best movie of the past decade is the 2016 masterpiece Dirty Grandpa, starring Robert De Niro and Zac Efron. Zac Efron is a well-to-do suburban guy trying to climb up the corporate ladder, and Robert De Niro is his grandpa, and he's having none of it. You know what I mean? So I don't want to spoil it for you guys, but I would take the ride. You know.
All right. Josie.
Brilliant.
Okay.
The meaning of life. Okay.
I have not watched movies in a while, and I can't even think of one. So I'm just gonna go and cheat on the topic and say the best show is Pose, hands down.
Mm-hmm.
All right, I'll allow it. Okay. That's CTV.
Yeah, it's a different category altogether, right? You can't do TV show and movie, right? That's horseshit.
I allowed it. It's
Horse
fine.
shit.
It's fine. It's
No,
fine.
I know you said that. I'm still calling it horseshit, right? So the best
Wow.
movie, period, in the last decade, Lego Batman. Period. I don't give a fuck about anything else that's going on out there in the world, right? Marvel's had some shit come out. It's undeniable, right? Marvel's had some good shit come out. But in reality, when it comes to laying out the Batman character arc for the last fucking 70 years, right? 60, 70 fucking years of Batman. Lego Batman encompasses all the way back to Adam West dancing on a TV show. You need to figure out how to include the shit the right way, right? Adam West and the Batman TV show, all the way up, all the way through all of the other movies, pays homage to every single one of them and illustrates the importance of the relationship between Batman and the Joker, right? And how they really need each other in order to be completed. There's no other movie that's been made in the last decade that even comes close to the type of message that Lego Batman has given to the youth of the world today, right? No other movie even bothers trying to come close because it just can't. The emotional message isn't there. The historical aspect of a character isn't there. And they just don't have the awesome medium, which is Lego, right? So I don't see anybody else being able to say anything else within the last decade because, frankly, Hollywood and anybody that's been producing movies has just frankly gotten lazy, and they just keep remaking the same shit. Ghostbusters is an example of that, just shit, right? Yeah. So I hope somebody has something maybe worth considering. Otherwise, from the start, Lego Batman's going to take it home.
I was not expecting the callback, but nice. All right.
If you want a movie, I'm gonna say Joker. That was really good, actually.
All right, Josie's wishing to. I don't know if we can allow that. Chud.
Easy. A Medea family funeral, 2019. I will not be elaborating further.
Okay. Okay.
Oh man.
Rob.
So I was going to say Joker. I have to be honest, I don't watch a lot of newer movies. I guess I watch more TV shows now than movies, but I really liked the Joker. I thought it was a really good movie. I think Inception was in the past decade. I really liked it. As far as bad movies, I don't know. A lot of movies are bad. Quick point on ChudLogic there, saying Medea though. True story. Like SNL did this skit. I don't watch a lot of SNL anymore either, but it did this skit where it was Tom Hanks was playing like this rural white dude, and he's on like Jeopardy with these black people, and they all love Medea, and they're shocked that this like rural white guy loves Medea. My dad, who is a white guy, absolutely the Medea movies are his favorite movies in the world. I shit you not. He thinks they are gut-wrenching, hysterical. Like he watches old westerns like Bonanza, Clint Eastwood movies, and like the murder porn stuff, ID Discovery, and he watches the Medea movies. So at least there's one fan out there for real that thinks those movies are awesome. I don't really hate them, to be honest, but I haven't watched many of them. So I'll go with Joker, I guess, is the best I can come up with.
You said a falsehood during what you said, and I think it's my duty, sir, to point it out. Inception was produced and made in 2010, a full 12 years.
Okay.
But I said 2010
years.
onwards, so that's fine, right? Right.
No, you said 10 years.
I said 2010's fine. You're okay with 2010, right? DemonMama.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
That's all I have, bro.
I don't know. I think it's really hard to say what a best movie is, but I think the movie that has stuck with me the most over the last decade or so was a tragically underrated movie called The Endless. This was actually a Netflix original. It is a very, very strange, how do I put this? Psychological, religious horror film that is just phenomenal. It was made by two brothers who play two brothers in the film, and it deals with all kinds of issues. Basically, these two brothers need to they escape a cult when they're young, and they decide to go back to see if it was really as bad as they remember, because they feel like they can't figure everything out, and they've had a really hard life since then. And from there, it delves into a whole bunch of areas, but beautiful, beautiful effects, wonderful acting, incredible premise, very well written. A lot of psychological twists and whatnot that I think was just phenomenal. That movie really stuck with me. So I don't know if it's the best movie ever, but it certainly is an honorable mention for me for the last 10 years. That's The Endless. You can watch it on Netflix. I highly, highly recommend it. It's not too long either. It's a nice, digestible film. Very scary. Very, very inspiring.
What was the prequel's name? That's the second movie in that, correct?
I don't think so.
I think I've seen that.
They did make another they made another movie at one point that was like had some similar themes when they were like before they got some funding. I don't think it was supposed to be in the same universe or anything, but it did have some similar themes. But The Endless is the name of the one that I'm talking about.
Nope. We're back.
Well,
Whereby kicked everyone. Or is everyone okay? All right.
Good.
That was strange.
hello.
Okay. That put me off. All right. Before we continue on the best movie of the decade, I would just like to thank everybody watching in every chat across Twitch. I know you're not all in the same place, but we all love having you here. Everybody that hits go live wouldn't be here without the audience. Thank you to everybody watching. And Phil, best movie of the decade.
Okay, I put some thought into this, and there's really three ways you can
Wait,
look
Phil.
at it. Now,
Before the thought,
yes.
your camera's black for me. Can you refresh whereby?
Oh, I suppose.
I see him.
For me?
I might have to refresh whereby them.
And okay,
there we
so
go.
can
Thank
you All right, can y'all see? I don't want to deprive the people of missing even a single pixel of my beautiful face. Can we all see me? All is well in the world? Okay. All right, folks. To me, there was 3 ways to break this down, and you can pick which way you find is the most valid. If you're going to break it by the highest grossing movie, you have to go by Avengers Endgame. Just, it made the most money. It had the most interest in people. Like it or not, that kind of stuff really, heroic fiction just appeals to people. It always has, it always will. Not much you can do about that. Now, what the movie that I think had the most long-term cultural impact, now maybe it's just because I have had to watch this movie about 6,000 times, but I'm gonna go with Frozen. Yes, Frozen is going to have the longest term cultural impact going forward. The most people that are below the age of 15 have probably seen that one piece of media in common than any other single piece of film. So that's what I would go with that. And yes, I have had, like, I could sing every single let it go, can't hold it back anymore. Yes, I know every freaking word to that song. I've heard it 6,000 times. Now, my personal favorite movie of the last decade, again, I took my daughter out to see this. We just had a great time. It was the new King Kong versus Godzilla movie. It was absolutely awesome. I'm not going to give any spoilers, but definitely go check it out. It's just a great, you get to just enjoy a flick for 2 hours. And it's just, I don't know how else to put it. Just a great kaiju versus kaiju. Bang, bang, bang. You want to see it. And so for me, those are the 3 categories. So most fun I've had, King Kong Godzilla, highest grossing in Avengers Infinity War, and also the highest or the most culturally impacting. You got to give it Frozen. And the worst movie, take your pick, any fucking thing that Disney decided to wipe its ass with on the Star Wars franchise. So that's the worst thing to happen in cinema this decade. I'm sorry. It had to be said. And with that, I yield.
Thank you, Phil. Maddycakes.
Okay. If we were saying last 15 years, my answer for best movie, like every category, would be Up. Because holy shit, I cried like a fucking
feels.
baby in the first 10 minutes of that. It just, oh my God, I loved it. I came home and like started crying, telling my dad about like how great that like opening sequence was. Like it was so good. But since it's not 15 years, yeah, I have a couple just because I love certain movies for different reasons. So I would say my favorite, I think if I had to like put one over the others, Mad Max Fury Road. I just remember seeing that and like it was visually stunning. All the performances, every performance was fantastic, and their ability to world build and make it compelling when really what you when you think about it, it's like they were just like they were like driving. They're driving in a desert back and forth from places, and they made it this like incredible thing. So yeah, Mad Max Fury Road is definitely up there. I think, oh, so this is a little more for like something that I thought was just cute and lovely and left me just like in such a good mood and happy. Grand Budapest Hotel was just like, I don't know. I found it so heartwarming. The storytelling in it was lovely. And I guess the last one I would list for like, you know, you had one that just kind of blew me away, one that like just put me in a good mood, made me happy. One that I thought was fucking hysterical, that was kind of a little more niche, but I just love how they did it stylistically, was Death of Stalin. If you saw Death of Stalin, it's so fucking funny because everyone playing these characters don't like use Russian accents or whatever. Like Steve Buscemi is in it, Jeffrey Tambor is in it. Like they're all these guys and they don't like they're talking like New Yorkers, and it's so fucking funny. And believe it or not, it's like entirely like very historically accurate. So I really enjoyed that movie for those who've seen it. But again, it's like a little more of a niche. So those would be my answers. But oh, and an honorable mention I would say is Moana, because that soundtrack.
Also, another movie I've seen about 100 times, just 100 times.
Oh, I should throw out an honorable mention as well, since everybody gave so many answers. Jojo Rabbit is fucking good, and people, I think that movie is severely underrated. Taika Waititi is an incredible director and actor, and Jojo Rabbit's fucking great.
And I'm
I'll
gonna
have to
give an
check that
honorable
out.
mention to Get Out. Get Out was also great.
Mhm.
I would say
I
Engage,
choose-
but CTV nailed it with Lego Batman again. So I don't know. Is
No,
there any-
Maddie nailed
Maddie,
it.
yeah.
Maddie actually nailed Grand Budapest is a perfect movie. And
No, it's Lego Batman.
It's so
no.
good.
It's definitely Lego
Uh,
Batman.
Yeah, it's
What?
definitely
Cheese
Lego
rolls
Batman, but
ain't
I tell
getting
you
the
what,
love?
I've got. Look, here's the number 2. Right, this
Right.
one's underrated. This is underrated. We'll
Open
argue this one,
discussion, by
right?
the way. Go for it.
Yeah, so the underrated pick, right, is Battleship. Right? That movie has everything
With
you
Rihanna?
fucking need. You got
That
the
movie is
battle?
made of
Not chip?
cheese. Okay,
That-
that,
that-
movie's
that-
not cheesy. It's made of cheese.
look.
okay?
That movie, the entire movie has you on the edge of your seat and has on full display the power and might of the United States Navy. Right? Not only the today's sailors with destroyers and frigates, right, and all the capabilities that aircraft carriers have, but also the mighty Mo, right? BB-43, USS Missouri, Iowa-class battleship, 22-inch guns, boom, get them.
You
the
know, it's
aliens had literal plot shields. Oh no, we've got this shield that has to stay up until when the shields are down. Now the plot can move forward. The plot shields are down. Attack! Like that movie was made of cheese, dude.
Yeah, and I will say, this is like
don't get me
maybe
wrong,
an
we
unpopular
watch it all
opinion.
the time here on the farm, but it's just so
I
cheesy.
preferred the Lego movie to Lego Batman. I loved the Lego movie. I was like living my I was living my best life in the theater when I went to see the Lego movie. And I liked Lego Batman. I don't know. It's hard to surmount it's hard to do better than Lego
Yeah.
movie because it was just so fucking good.
Lord Business talking with the special at the end, like that was heartwarming. Like that was
Ah.
like, oh my god, like yeah, my kiddo was the same age as the little kid in that movie, and so I was like, oh no, don't be Lord President Business. That was the
Also,
the great
you guys should know
takeaway.
for espousing this opinion, my
Okay.
chat has now canceled me.
Okay.
So we were just talking about cancel culture.
Why?
I gotta take a
Yeah.
small.
Wow.
I gotta take a small
Now we're just being
contention
silly.
with Phil's assertion that the Star Wars movies were the worst. That is unbelievably silly
The last
because
10 years, that's the worst thing.
in the last no
Vision
way.
or
Not
Oh
even
wait, I
close.
have a
Now-
good
Listen, wait a
worst one
second.
too.
Let me prove you wrong.
Okay, you go first. You go first.
Because
Okay.
we all have forgotten that Jack and Jill, the movie, the absolutely atrociously unfunny, painful, lengthy advertisement came out in 2011, 10 years ago. So we have not outlived the radioactivity of that horrible film. And in
Great
addition,
movie.
Pixels and Ridiculous 6, which are also just insultingly stupid movies, both came out. So I as much as I was not a huge fan of the Star Wars movies, I did like the second one a little bit. I thought Luke was really cool in that one. But as much as people can hate on those, I'm sorry, but you can't overlook those just ass tier fucking Adam Sandler films. Those are
We
just
will
so
let
bad.
the audience
Bring up,
boy, that's
I
how
could.
far down the Star Wars movies are. It's like, well, there's maybe an Adam Sandler movie that was a little worse, maybe.
I'd like to
Oh
bring
no!
up-
I mean, come on though. Look, there was a lot of stuff to complain about the Star Wars movies, but the acting was on point, the set work was on point, the special effects were on point. You know, the story wasn't
Just
great.
a
It was
special
definitely
effects fest. That was all it was.
well, yeah, but I mean,
Star
wasn't that?
Wars
That's kind of what the
strength was
original Star Wars
never
was. Like,
its,
yeah,
like,
Star Wars
Yeah,
was.
Star Wars
guys
as a whole
Flair.
sucked.
That is the
Yeah.
most. No, Star Wars is actually this retelling of the story of the Epic of Gilgamesh. It's one of the oldest stories that we
It draws
keep
from a
telling
lot of
again and again and again and again.
and
An
tropes.
old
Like, it
man
draws from
comes
a lot of
along with a
those.
martial tradition that's going to carry this young boy
The
away.
Epic of Gilgamesh. You're thinking of the
far away from
I
his
would like
farm.
to point
It's the
out that
oldest
in the
story
last
in
10
humanity.
years, a movie entitled Movie 42 came out,
Bad.
and that is legit the only movie where I went to see it in a theater because my friend were like, "Oh, let's just go watch a movie," and I sat there and the only laughs that happened, so it was supposed to be a comedy, were people being like, "Should we go? Should we leave?" It was fucking horrible.
Yeah, that
So-
movie was bad.
The thing about Star Wars, I think objectively, Star Wars, any
I'm
of
sorry,
them weren't
movie
the worst.
43, not
But
42.
the problem is it's the expectations, right? And I think that's why if you set yourself with like, and look, there's part of like I'm fascinated by Star Wars because I look back, I remember seeing the first Star Wars movie and then the prequel, the trilogy came out. And I was old enough to where I was like, oh, this sucks compared to the first one. But I had like younger brothers that loved Jar Jar Binks. And I looked at it like, this character's so shitty, so cheesy. Then you go back to the originals and watch C-3PO and you're like, oh shit, like this character sucks so much. Like, so it's all about nostalgia. You think that trilogy was created for you and they bungled it so bad, which it was bungled, don't get me wrong. But, that's what makes it, I think so many people have such a disdain for the Star Wars movie. It's not that it was like the cinematography was the worst, the story was the worst. It could all be bad, but it was the expectations for people were so high, and what they got, it was like, I think you can see that with other movies. Like people say Suicide Squad was the worst movie. Well, it sucked, but it was because people's expectations were high because they loved those characters. And then when it fell short, by the way, I want to mention John Wick. That's probably my favorite movie. That's what I should have said.
That was a good one. Now, I'd like to add an addendum just real quick. Just what you were saying on the... Yeah, John Wick was fucking badass too. But an addendum to what you're saying on the Star Wars thing. My buddy, who's my occasional co-star on KOE Nation Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast, he's got his own theory about this. He thinks that really, unless they had come out with some sort of Skyrim-esque fully interactive where you get to make your own chosen one to defeat the Dark Lord in the way that you want to defeat them as you want to defeat them, people were going to shit on it because they've been imagining for the last 30 years what these next movies are going to look like. So unless they basically come out with Skyrim Wars and you just sit in the theater and put on the helmet and you defeat the Dark Lord in the way that you want to do it, people were gonna shit on it. So basically,
I don't think anyone actually likes Star Wars. I think everyone's just been brainwashed by their dad because whenever people are excited by Star Wars, they're just angry. They want to be angry about it. They don't actually want to like it.
Bullshit.
I just love, I showed Harrison Ford be a badass and hot. So
well, no, what I'm saying is when I showed my little one The Empire Strikes Back, and there's that scene of, did Obi-Wan tell you what happened to your father? He told me enough. He said you killed him. Hang on.
You're literally a dad. You're making my theory correct.
I am your father. My little one goes, oh my God, like, yes, I'm like, yes, I'm the best fucking father. I made your childhood magical. Look at that shit. So yes, that was like, so yes, kids can get into Star Wars. It's not just their dads liking it. It's just if they are allowed to immerse themselves in the story properly. And I think that's why a lot of people don't like the new ones is because, well, it's Disney. We all knew they were going to fucking Disney all over this thing.
Well, there's another problem
it started out strong, and then the third one, it was just like, what? I liked it in the second. They kind of inferred like, hey, this isn't something that's just like there are kids all over the galaxy. There are people everywhere that can use the Force. Like that was the whole point with that last scene, and the fact that Rey, it originally was kind of again inferred that she wasn't like from a special family, and then they decided to just like throw that out the window and be like, actually, funny story, and it's like, that's a bummer. Like, what a fucking bummer.
Also, I don't think we can claim that Star Wars holds the greatest disappointment of the decade either, because the Hobbit movies exist, and people have been hyping up a Hobbit movie by Peter Jackson, who made the incredible Lord of the Rings series, and those movies were really bad. They were way worse. They were way worse than the expectations of Star Wars. Like, I don't know. Star Wars movies were at least entertaining. I wanted to fucking leave during those Hobbit movies. That was just so bad.
Enjoyed Lord of the Rings. Those were some of my
Lord of the Rings were great. Yeah.
I'll be honest,
yeah,
I remember no culture from the past. All I remember is Game of Thrones. Like people like being really into Game of Thrones for the first half, and then people were hating Game of Thrones for the second half.
That's all like I didn't do TV shows.
Well, yeah, shows
and The Hobbit's fucking awesome, just so you know.
Chud.
I think the best scene.
Wait. Chud hasn't been able to put his hand up. Chud, did you want to add to any? Did you fall asleep, Chud?
Yeah, I mean, to be honest with you, I'm glad that everyone's so accepting of my love of Tyler Perry movies. I think he's an auteur, a genius, misunderstood by everyone, especially critics. But the people love him. So maybe one day, I think history will be kind to Tyler Perry.
It will.
Well,
It
I mean,
really
the
will.
current kind of Tyler Perry, he's like a billionaire now, so he's doing all right.
And there's something. Look, that's why John Wick, I think, is a movie that got so much attention. There is something, as we see the politicization of everything. There is people are thirsty for shit that they don't have to think about. Like you go watch a Tyler Perry movie, it's just slapstick, like. And it's not the worst shit that's done. Like you could go watch and enjoy it and laugh, and you don't have to think about deep meanings behind stuff. John Wick, it was kind of the same thing. Like, if spoiler alert for those that haven't seen John Wick, in the first 10 minutes of the movie, man used to be hitman, gets wife, stops being hitman, she dies, leaves him dog. They kill dog, he kills everyone. The end. That's the movie, right? And like, it's something refreshing about. Oh, I can sit down, especially in the world now where there's so many TV shows that there's so much going on. Like great TV shows. I love a lot of these like TV shows. But if you watch something like one of these long-lasting shows, there's so much you have to think about and all this character stuff. Like Tyler Perry, John Wick, that stuff. It's like you don't really have to think. You could probably leave the room for 10 minutes, come back, and you're like, yeah, I feel like I know what's going on. I don't feel like I'm struggling here. So that I think history will say. It was nice that in a time where art seemed to be going in more, regardless if you like it or not, seemed to be going in more of having a message. There were some people that were like, no, we're just going to make it fun and entertaining.
I will say with John Wick, a buddy of mine is asking, so Phil, how's the movie? He's like, all right, man, I don't want to ruin it for you, but John Wick does kill a whole bunch of people. Oh man.
Another movie that's worth noting that I fucking loved, especially because like it's just mindless. It's like it's a mindless action movie. If you saw in 2012 Dredd, which is like the kind of remake whatever on Judge Dredd.
Yes. That's great.
That is a fucking great movie. I really enjoyed that. I've also been someone where like I've had friends where we like are just doing a movie night and I ask like, "Oh, have you seen this movie?" and they hadn't heard of it and I'm like, oh, I get to be the one to show you this movie you didn't know existed, and what a treat.
I mean, I would not
that's
say
another
it's
really good one.
completely mindless. I did love Dread though. That was a fucking great
It was
movie.
good.
Plus,
That's a
I
great
mean,
pick.
a villain after my own heart, mama. But I will say, there is one question that none of us have answered here, which is what is going to be this decade's pirates? Because we don't have that yet. We don't know. What is it going to be? Who's poised to make the next pirates?
What do you mean by that?
Like Pirates of the Caribbean?
No, no. What? Fuck the Pirates of the Caribbean. That movie sucks. I'm talking about the highest budget porno that's ever been shot. Pirates. It was the first $1 million budget porno that was ever shot. It was shot in the last decade before this one. But what's this one?
How much drugs were done to convince the guy who banked that? All right, we're going to do a high budget porn. It's going to be pirates. We just need $1 million. Who was
they made so much money? Wait, Pirates is like legendary. You know, they made like all their money back and more. Like those people are loaded
out about
now.
It right now.
Yeah,
So,
you missed out on a literally historically budgeted porn film that was, had realistic set pieces and everything.
How will I go on?
Yeah. Listen, have you not ever wished to have a close encounter with a strong man with a hook for a hand? Come on.
Yes, and on that note, let's go into.
I'll be honest, no.
We're going to do closing statements on the bonus topic. Who wants to do a closing statement on the bonus topic? Do you want to do it? Nobody wants to do it.
We need to do it.
Oh, well, if you're...
I'll do closing.
Yes, movies, they're going to get a whole lot worse before they get any better, folks. There's classics from yesteryear. There's great comedies from yesteryear. There's great, amazing movies that even go far back, like Singing in the Rain. Such amazing, beautiful movies from the past. But the future, it's only going to get worse. So really what you need to do is just stick to the danabo chat right here, right on TikTok, or not TikTok, Twitch right here. You need to subscribe to danabo right here on Twitch because this is where it's really at. While you're at it, head on over to KOE Nation on YouTube and Twitch to follow all your KOE content. And also all these beautiful people on this panel like CTV, RobNoerr, DemonMama, Maddycakes, all of you. I don't know if Binx has somewhere, and Josie, I don't know. Give yourself shout outs. But all of you beautiful people, this is where you need to be, is these kinds of discussions. This is where the real content's gonna be in the future. You can leave Hollywood behind. You don't need Hollywood. You got the KOE Nation. And with that, I yield.
This is what my dog did during this discussion. It's eating everything in the house. It's eating it now. Look.
Oh,
thought the
puppy
last
life,
discussion was
Danabo.
It's a pupper.
Everything in the house, he's just consuming, and I can't stop him.
It's obvious to
He
me
just
then
eats
that your
everything.
dog wants me to give my closing statement and make sure that we bedrock the fact that Lego Batman movie is in fact the best movie. We already know this, right?
I mean, that's
So
why
that's gotta be what it
nobody,
is.
Nobody disputed it, so I think
Yeah. So I got to
just-
bedrock it, right?
that's 2 weeks in
Go
a
ahead,
row.
Rob. Go ahead, Rob.
No, I was just gonna say if someone wants to, I think the best acted scene of the past decade is the scene at the end of The Joker where he sits down with Robert De Niro's character. If you can find it on YouTube. It's 5 minutes. It's Joaquin Phoenix's range of emotions is absolutely phenomenal. Like it is one of the best scenes. Some of the movie lags, but that scene gives me goosebumps every time. And if you you could also find a video of Quentin Tarantino talking about that scene and just, I mean, it's vulgar, but the way he talks about that scene, it just gives me goosebumps of how impressively acted, directed, and shot that scene was. It's just takes you through an entire, literally the whole movie is built up for a scene where they make you cheer for an insane killer. And you're like, yeah, I kind of see where he's coming. And for a director to be able to do that, it's really an impressive feat, I thought.
Right, I guess we're doing closing statements then. Josie.
I think that this was an interesting conversation. Thank you for the levity. I will divert to everybody's knowledge on movies here. I will say this, though. You did bring up memories of when I used to work for a Blockbuster in high school, really dating myself here. But I was like, I remember how wonderful it was during that period of time where my job was literally to talk to people about movies. So, like the movies between 2002 and 2004, I know a lot about. But then I just got busy and just stopped watching movies. And then I got poor and stopped going to the movie theaters. But now movie theaters are closed. So I'm kind of screwed in a lot of ways. So yeah, fun topic. Let's get back to politics because I'm super nerd. Let's do
Good.
it.
Hey, what? Sorry.
You want to give a closing statement on this, or do you pass it on? What do you do?
Well, I mean, I've talked a lot about my love for Tyler Perry movies. I think it's a shame we didn't go for the last 20 years because then I could have shared my love for Freddy Got Fingered. Maybe next time.
Oh,
Lord.
I agree with Chud. Freddy Got Fingered is
Hungry.
probably the greatest
Hell
movie of
yeah.
all time. I make my kid do. Daddy, would you like some sausage on the little keyboard
Would you like
behind
some
us?
sausage?
Fuck.
Eventually, I will hook up the string so we can make the sausages dance.
That's what happens when Tom Green gets too much of a budget.
Okay. So,
CTV closing statement.
all right. So we already know Lego Batman movie is the best movie of the last decade, right? No fucking doubt. I heard a lot of arguments and frankly just some horrible ass opinions when it comes to movies, right? Just horrible, right? Like if you think that The Hobbit is bad, then you just like are not like in keeping with like Lord of the Rings lore and understand how those movies play right into each other. It's like how do you can't even call yourself a fan if you just can't appreciate the dwarves, right? It's just appalling to me, frankly. But Rob, you talk about range of emotion, right? I think Joaquin Phoenix is definitely a very talented actor, but I would have to say that, like, as far as range of emotion is concerned, like Django Unchained and Leonardo DiCaprio
Right.
comes to mind.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So
Great.
yeah, because I like that scene that you're specifically talking about. That scene, whew, right? That's a head ringer, right? But then there's also like understanding one, you have actors from today playing characters in the past, and then there's obviously, trying to portray that, and then like the levels of, like the range of emotion that people have to go through to be able to do that. I think it's just amazing when you get a community of people that can actually do that, and then like just works, and people set their egos aside because they're like, hey, we're here for work. We know what it was like back then. We actually don't give a shit, right? We're just here to make the movie. So yeah, it's about the only thing. But I like that scene though.
DemonMama.
Brilliant.
My apologies. I'm sorry about that. Sorry, we're doing final statements on the films, right?
If you want
Yep.
to.
Yeah, I mean, I guess I would just take this time to shout out other fucking awesome movies that are really good. Midsommar is a incredibly unsettling movie that came out relatively recently. Very psychedelic, very terrifying. When I first saw it, I actually didn't like it all that much. And then I thought about it a whole bunch. And then I was like, actually, I really like this film. That's a really good one. And yeah, that's probably the only other thing I want to say in here. But I will say that I agree with CTV on one thing, which is the dwarves were the best part. Unfortunately, the dwarves got sidelined for a bunch of other pointless bullshit as the series went on. And from the moment that Misty Mountains was sung, everything went downhill from there. And that's very unfortunate. But yeah, that's all I have to say on this topic.
Thank you. Maddie.
I like most of the movies that we described here. And I still, and look, I know I've been canceled for it. I liked the Lego movie better than Lego Batman, but I also really liked Lego Batman. So between a rock and a hard place, I guess. They're all great. If again we had extended it to 15 years, Up would be like the winner hands down for everything. And the only one I forgot to mention that I enjoy, because I normally get annoyed with rom-coms, but Crazy Stupid Love was genuinely enjoyable and funny, and I did not expect it to be. So that's all I have to say. Danabo, watching you grapple with your puppy is just it's warming my heart.
It's destroying
It's
everything.
so lovely.
It's adorbs.
And all
so
those that
cute.
canceled Maddie, you're more than welcome to come to me. It's fine. We won't even bring her up. She was.
We won't talk about her.
We won't talk
Yeah.
about her.
Last but not least,
uh,
Binx. Final
but
closing
Brando-
statement. Wait, no,
Brando
don't
has-
interrupt. What are you doing, CTV? You know the
But
rules.
Brando,
You
I
know
don't
the
want you
rules.
to reference CTV. Get that out of
No,
here.
no.
Brando has what plans.
You
to
lost, all right. Lego Batman is no longer
Yep.
the best.
Called it.
So Frozen's the winner. Oh wait.
Binx.
All right, I'm gonna throw out some honorable mentions too. Can't talk about best movies. Not talking about foreign movies. Parasite was dope. We Are the Best was dope. Holy Motors was dope. On the mainland, Joaquin Phoenix had one of the best movies. It wasn't The Joker. It was The Master. Dope ass movie.
Also so good.
Les Miserables was a good movie. I know people didn't like it. I like Les Miserables.
Say it one more time.
Bleh.
Yeah.
My grandpa actually saw that play perform live at a bombed out church when he was serving in World War II. So that's whenever
pretty
people
dope.
bring that up, that was neat. So
So
he made me
Llewyn
watch the real
Davis
play.
too, by the way. Okay, I'm done.
All right, thank you very much, everyone. That was the bonus fun time question. I like to include that as a palate cleanser and just to show that there can actually be decent discussion between lefties and righties, even if it's just about movies. Now, we're about to show that there can't be decent discussion between lefties and righties, because we're about to move on to the Texas abortion bill.
Into the frying pan, into the fire.
Yeah, I would. Let's start with Maddie, please. Texas abortion bill. If you want to give a brief explanation of it as well, I'll give you a bit of extra time, Maddie.
Sure. So recently, like this week, Texas Governor Greg Abbott signed into law one of the nation's strictest abortion measures, which bans the procedure of having an abortion as early as 6 weeks into a pregnancy. So obviously, this is a very contentious subject. It is particularly emotional for me because I have had an abortion. I had an abortion at 8 weeks. So if I lived in Texas, that would now pretty much be illegal. So I think what we have to think about when we limit women's access to abortion is thinking about what the goal is. If we want to preserve life or want women to have fewer abortions, the best way to do that is comprehensive sex education, is access to birth control, and is not limiting options for women, but instead taking preventative measures and educating people so that there are fewer unwanted pregnancies. What this does, when we ban abortion, that does not stop abortions from happening. That does not stop people from getting abortions. That stops people from getting abortions safely. Abortions will still happen. Wealthy women will be able to fly wherever they need to go to get their abortion taken care of. And women who can't afford to do that, I'm sorry, I say women, I mean people who can't afford to do that will seek unsafe methods to have an abortion. So what this law is doing is putting people's lives in danger. And last thing before I let everyone else give their opening statements, the fact that this bill it's being known as a heartbeat bill. And it's funny because the reality is that at 6 weeks, at 8 weeks, there isn't a heartbeat. And what you hear that you say, oh, but like it shows up as a heartbeat. No, what that is a group of cardiac cells that will eventually turn into a heart. What you're hearing that sounds like a heartbeat is just those cells starting to contract in the way they will be when they eventually become the heart organ. So it just demonstrates the lack of knowledge of the people that pushed for this bill to be passed. And I'm horrified and will do everything I can as an activist to fight against this law so that women in Texas can have access to necessary medical care without fear of being imprisoned or without having to seek it through unsafe back alley methods that cost people their lives. Thank you.
Thank you, Maddie. Thank you for explaining it for me. CTV, please. You muted.
Ah, brilliant. It's the meaning of life he just dropped, but we didn't know because he was muted. Ah.
It's true. It's true,
just
right? So
making
Texas
us, like,
Governor
wait
Greg
in
Abbott on Wednesday
anticipation.
signed a bill into law that bans abortion at the moment a fetal heartbeat has been detected, a move that Texas, the largest state in the nation to outlaw abortion so early in a pregnancy. Now,
They're not the largest. Sorry.
why is it that I can't speak without being
I'm
interrupted
sorry,
tonight?
CTV.
We have people complaining about this very thing.
Doing it on purpose.
Sorry, CTV.
They are doing it on purpose, Danabo.
Just you.
Get fragile. Don't get triggered.
I'm so. Look. I come in here. My
Conservative.
heart's
Maddie.
on my sleeve, right? And then they just keep going. Like I don't understand. Like why? Anyway, look. The reality of this situation is what level of government would you want this decision to be made at? Obviously, the state level, right? Why? Why? Because 10th Amendment, right? So, Texas obviously passed something that they feel like they want to have in place. Texas can make this decision for itself, which is made up of the constituents of Texas, right? If another state wants to do something else, which we've already been having done in other states, they have a different stance when it comes to this same particular issue. If you don't like Texas's stance, don't move to fucking Texas. I don't know what to tell you, right? It's just literally that simple. Or get involved in the Texas legislature, right? And start trying to get some change done in Texas. Otherwise, keep your ass in whatever fucking state that you're in, right? And stay there and advocate for the change that you want there. But don't go to fucking Texas and try to tell them that they're fucked up and we're going to bypass this system and use the federal government. And blah. No, fuck you, state level, right? That's where we're at with it.
Yeah, CTV. ChudLogic, please.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, I completely agree with everything that Maddie said, and I just want to reiterate that you do not ban abortions, you ban safe abortions, okay? That's how it works, simple as that. And I know conservatives know that concept because when we talk about guns, you make those arguments. So, surprised sometimes my right-words can't make that leap to talk about abortion in the same way. But nonetheless, I see we're doing the states' rights argument, an argument which, justified legal slavery many years ago. So I'm not sure if that's got much leg to stand on. And also, looking at it from a constitutional perspective, doesn't deal with the human reality of the fact that this will lead to more women dying. If you support these kind of abortions bills, you are supporting, more women dying, and you are stripping bodily autonomy away from them, which I think is a very important factor in all of this as well. The final point I make on it is if you actually look at the nuts and bolts of the bill, it's ridiculous. Basically, they've passed the responsibility of this onto citizens. So they've made it so that citizens can just sue abortion clinics now. So what you're going to have is a bunch of anti-abortion Karens, filing lawsuit after lawsuit after lawsuit against all of these medical practitioners, flooding the fucking court system. It's going to be a complete civil nightmare. I think all things considered, even putting aside the philosophical or ethical ramifications of this, from a purely legal civil perspective, it's a totally ridiculous bill that's going to cause more problems than it even tries to solve. And that's it.
Thank you, Judd. Mr. Noor?
Yeah, so there's a lot to say about this specific bill. I just want to say this real quick. I do have questions about the way it allows civilians to sue instead of the court, instead of the state to be sued by a abortion provider. So maybe that's something we'll get into. But that's the only thing that's different about this topic than previously. We've seen these abortion bills before. Real quick on the states' rights issues, that the Constitution says it should be up to the states. Roe v. Wade's an abomination. There's nothing in the Bill of Rights or the Constitution that remotely says that a right to privacy means that you're entitled to an abortion. Therefore, it's not in the Constitution. Therefore, it should be up to the states. If you want a constitutional right to abortion, we have a process, pass an amendment. So this bastardized the court. It was also bastardized in the 92 Casey decision, which basically did not take up the new evidence that we have on fetal viability and things like that. So the point is this, we could grandstand all we want. Just answer ChudLogic's point there at the end. Absolutely absurd, this argument that, well, people will go out and murder babies if we say that it's illegal to murder babies. They'll find unsafe ways to murder babies. Cool. That's not how we do laws. We don't say that, oh, well, we have to allow the murder of babies because we're afraid if we don't, then people will find other way to murder them. So what is a murder of a baby? That's the key here. We have to determine when it is a life. That's the argument. I'm not someone that argues for life begins at conception. I don't see it that way. I think that there has to be some metric, whether it be brain activity, heart activity, etc., that we come to an agreement that says once that sort of thing happens, then we say this is a life. It is inhumane and horrific to terminate that life unless there's very specific set of circumstances that mean that we need to terminate that life to save a different life. Other than that, it would be inhumane and horrific. And the idea, right, that so that's what the debate's going to be. I'll be interested to see where the rest of the panelists think when that life begins, if it's going to be something like the New York law that allows third trimester abortions, or if they want something more in the middle, like maybe only first trimester abortions, etc. That's where the meat of the argument is.
Thank you, Rob. And DemonMama, please.
Yeah. There's a lot wrong with this bill. While it is possible for all kinds of things to be passed by the state law, that doesn't mean that it's right. Just because, and I don't think anybody here has advocated for necessarily federal intervention here, but we are advocating against the bill. At least I am. This bill not only does it put quite ridiculous standards on what is even allowed, it functionally bans all abortions because of encouraging people to sue. And what this will do is this means that doctors will not take the risk of doing it at all. They will not be able to handle the burden of potentially frivolous lawsuits, lawsuits over 1 week difference versus 2 week difference versus whatever week level you want to put. There's going to be all kinds of lawsuits. And how are you going to even prove that? What this will functionally do is explode the costs of judicial fees, or what's actually going to happen, it will make all abortions illegal, essentially, functionally. It's a very wily little law there. And another interesting thing is that this particular law does not provide exceptions for rape and incest. Very concerning that we have a governor who is essentially backing a law that forces his own religious beliefs on others. Whether you think that life begins at conception or not, I think that we can understand why somebody would not want to carry to term a baby that is the product of rape and or incest. But this law does not provide for that at all. Likewise, we have seen in other countries that have adopted very, very aggressive abortion bans that indeed both Maddie and ChudLogic are correct in saying that it does not lower abortions, it just gets rid of safe abortions. The rate of botched abortions in Hungary and Poland, for example, both countries which have moved to ban abortion, have gone through the roof. And this is a humanitarian crisis, in my opinion.
Well, thank you, DemonMama. Binx, baby.
Okay. Yeah, it's Texas really is like the most American state. You can like put a gun on your hip, like wherever you go, and you can just fucking sue anybody you want for absolutely fucking anything. I'm not a I don't want a pro sue state. Where I mean, I think this is just a weird caveat that I don't really like. I mean, I would like to see danabo for putting me on this stream, but other than that, I don't want to put the amount of lawsuits that's going to go into this is just going to be fucking insane. I don't think it's the right way to do it. And yeah, I mean, I think this is a serious topic. I don't know, like, if we can really get into the intricacies of this, like on a panel. But yeah, that's just like my thoughts.
Binx. Josie, please.
Okay, first I want to thank Maddie for that vulnerable story. You're awesome, girl. Freaking inspiration, hero. Thank you. You're awesome. So I want to get into a few of the things here. So 88% of women actually get abortions around the 8-week mark of abortions, and Maddie actually gave an example of that, which was kind of crazy. I was literally looking up the stats, and I see 88%, and Maddie literally said 8 weeks, which is very interesting. So, but there's something that's even more sinister here as well, and the fact is, the 6 weeks is ridiculous, and the lawsuits are ridiculous. But the thing is, like, it's going to create bottlenecks. So, like, when's the last time you scheduled an appointment with a doctor and gotten seen in a couple hours? Because that's essentially what they're hoping people do. It's not going to happen. You get delayed, or maybe the doctor gets sick one day, and now you're past the 6-week mark. You're screwed. Right? And the idea that you can move is absurd, because what if you're a 16-year-old person? What if you're below young age and you don't have the poverty to be able to move in a really quick way? Again, allowing only wealthy people to continue to have access to abortions because they can literally leave and go across state lines. That is a huge, huge problem. And the fact that you say, oh, why don't you get involved with your state legislature? You're talking about women who are trying to, like, manage their lives, and you're like, oh, well, why you're pregnant at 7 weeks? Well, why don't you just get into the legislature and change the law before 9 months so you don't have the child? Right? Like, that's insane to think in that way. So the fact of the matter is, this is a de facto ban, and this is just another step in a long list of terrible things that Texas has done. I'm from Texas, and I know right now that Texas are proposing a bill to actually make transitional care for people 18 and below a form of child abuse. So not only are we saying it's illegal, it's a form of child abuse. Texas wants to take trans kids away from their parents and raise them with the state themselves. That's literally what they want, and they want to imprison doctors for administering child abuse, okay? So this is the problem with Texas as a whole here. But the fact of the matter is, they are legislatively de facto banning abortion so they can have the simple excuse that they're going to be able to say, oh, look, we still allow it for this slim margin of time. That's not enough. That is a de facto ban, and it needs to be sued and sent to the Supreme Court because they are violating Roe v. Wade.
Thank you, Josie. And Bill, King of the Extreme.
Thank you, sir. Now, folks, if there was ever any issue such as this for you to realize that you do need to get out and vote every election, here is a prime example. Get out and vote. If you do not like the kind of results you're getting, if you don't vote, you're not going to get it affect the eventual outcome. Now, there's going to be a couple things. I'm going to be a little all over the place here, but I want you to keep this in mind. Now, to me, I've always kept the position that even your most ardent, far-right, pro-life person would probably, and I've asked them, they won't actually go to the point of charging a woman with murder for taking a morning after pill. And also, on the other end of the spectrum, even your most ardent antinatalist is going to get a little queasy at the idea of aborting a baby the day before the baby is due. So, somewhere in the middle there lies the actual truth. And so that's where, unfortunately, a lot of this debate comes down, is where is that truth? Now, one thing that we need to keep in mind here is, and you're going to get some impositions of this kind where one side or the other is going to pretend like they have some sort of monopoly of care. That's not the case. That's not the case at all. Both sides have very sincere convictions, and they're trying to protect what they find is the most dear possible. So if we could have a little empathy towards each other, that would probably help move this along quite a bit. Now, there's one thing I wanted to say that Maddycakes talked about, how it's not a heart. That's not a heart. It's a bunch of cells that seem like a heart. And this is really the core of the problem here. It's not really possible to redefine the problem away when so many don't accept that framing. There are so many people that simply do no, that is a baby, that is a heart, and they are not accepting that framing, and they are not going to move at all. So this is the battle that we are at. These are the lines that are drawn. And also, one other thing I will say, I do agree with another thing that Maddie said, though. Education absolutely is the key. It is essential that in education, every child eventually gets to learn about biology, physiology, and the functions of their own body. That is absolutely essential. And so I have no problem with a greater education of any kind of kids learning about their own bodies. That's what your biology class is for. And really, the last thing I'm going to say on this is this law was designed to do something. This law it has much farther reaching implications than just this. Just like that old 1950s musical, We're Rhode Island Bound. This one is, We're Supreme Court Bound. Yes, this one is riding all the way to the Supreme Court. It's going to get struck down at least a couple times along the way. And then eventually, the 9 robed judges in DC are going to decide this one. And honestly, I think it's going to be a lot closer than anybody wants to think. You already know Roberts is going with the side of the liberal justices. Kavanaugh could swing either way. So that's the very interesting position that we find ourselves in, folks. So now, this is a very contentious issue. There's going to be a lot of anger strewn about, but folks, keep in mind that each of us, each and every one of us, is overflowing with empathy with people that we believe are the most vulnerable amongst us. So if we can keep that in mind, we might actually get somewhere on this debate. And folks, these lips of mine, they can speak no evil. And with that, I yield back to you beautiful people.
Thank you, Phil. Engage.
Okay, for those that are against the bill, for those that are against the bill, like just to get a ground working of where we're at here, do you think that that there should be a law that says after this point there shouldn't be an abortion? Yeah, I mean, for each of you, that seems to be the meat of this.
Sure, but perhaps. But I think the thing that kind of ignores is that the vast majority of abortions, elective abortions, that is, happen in the first trimester. Anything past that tends to be due to necessary medical reasons, and it's like the risk of the life, the risk
That's
of
not
life
true.
for the mother.
That's not
Almost
true.
exclusively,
It's
yes.
definitely true.
That is
That is true. That is
objectively true.
fact.
No, like
that is a
something
fact.
that's backed up with
I'll prove
data.
it
They
forward.
have they have this. The only people, and this is largely true. Like, and I say this again as someone who has had a goddamn abortion. So like, I have some strong feelings about this. The only people that seek third trimester abortions are people where the fetus is non-viable for some reason, where at some point during the pregnancy they had some sort of developmental issue where either the baby would be stillborn or the child would be born into pain and their survival rate is like next to nothing and it would be pain, and that would also then endanger the life of the mother. And there's only, I think, in the United States right now, there are only 2 clinics, 2, that will perform a third trimester abortion. And the only ones they perform are when it's medically necessary to save the mother's life or when it's no longer a viable pregnancy.
It's not true. So I
So-
linked something. From National Review that links to the Guttmacher Institute, which is a pro-abortion institution. It says, and I'm quoting: "The Guttmacher Institute has looked into the reasons for late-term abortion, and the reasons are chilling. First, the top-line finding is clear. Quote: Data suggests the most women seeking later-term abortions are not doing so for reasons of fetal anomaly or fetal endangerment. Instead, they were 5 general profiles of women who sought later abortions, describing 80% of the sample. These women were, quote, raising children alone, were depressed or using illicit substances, or in conflict with the male partner."
From the
Listen,
National Review.
cut your shit, okay? You
I'll
don't
let him-
fucking gish gallop me.
Let him
Listen,
finish.
that is
Fuck you!
no,
I'm
no, I'm
reading
not
a
gonna-
source. That's
no,
not gish
I'm not gonna.
galloping.
No, I'm not
fucking
gonna let you
rube.
finish.
Yeah, let the guy
Listen,
finish.
you're-
That was the
no,
problem
listen,
last debate.
Phil,
Just let the guy
shut the
finish
fuck
so we
up,
can get
okay?
through
This
it.
has nothing to do with. Stop your fucking posturing, Phil. This has nothing to do with you, okay? Listen up, okay?
No, I'm on the
This
panel,
doesn't-
so I'm making it my business.
this
Sorry.
doesn't-
Okay, everyone.
Listen, you're not the
Yeah.
fucking moderator. Shut the fuck up, okay? Listen.
Hey,
here's
you
the
shut the fuck
situation.
up, Chud. Right? You just interrupted Rob.
Everybody
we just
shut
sit
the
here and
fuck
listen
up.
respectfully to Maddie, and you want to jump in and start interrupting somebody. That's the fucking problem right now.
Everybody shut
Chud, so
the
sit the fuck down.
You're not the fucking
My
moderator.
baby
are
Right.
you?
killer.
Shut the fuck down. You gotta be
All
glad
right, everybody
we're
shut
on
up.
the
All right,
right
I'm
now,
gonna have to
boy.
have
Shut
massive
the fuck
server
up
mute
too.
on
I'll shut the
everyone.
fuck
all
up.
right?
Now listen.
Thank you,
Here's
Binx.
the situation. This doesn't disprove what we're saying. What we're saying is that the majority of elective abortions happen in the first trimester. This study doesn't disprove that point. So you're wasting your time saying all these words. That's
That's
all
not.
I want
Now
to
I
say.
wanna go back
You
and
should
listen
have
to what
listened
Rob
real
said.
quick. Right. So now, if you would have listened to actually what the other people were saying, you heard them just say, actually, women that are getting these late abortions are doing so for fetal health. That's the reason they're doing it. That is directly what Maddie said, which is directly contradicted by people that have researched it. Secondly, we could get into the exact numbers of how many people this are. It's not gish galloping to read the damn study that's giving the actual data. So, for example, the
That's not a
CDC says
study.
there's
It's an
about
article.
638,000 and some odd abortions a year, according to the CDC. And 1.3% of those are late term abortions. That's roughly 8,000 late term abortions a year. So the pro abortion Guttmacher
So you're
Institute
citing a
puts,
single study.
again,
Just the
I'm
one.
citing the CDC. I'm citing the Do you have a better study that gives the amount of abortions? So let's just take that 8,000 number. If 80% of that 8,000, so what you're talking, I'm not good at math, what 60,000, something like, or 6,000, something like that? 6,000 something abortion a year in late term because people are just like, I just didn't feel like having this kid because I'm poor or because of other reasons. That's directly contradicting. Yes, that might not be the majority of abortions, but that's absolutely tragic. So I'm just pointing out that what Maddie said was untrue according to data from the CDC and pro-abortion advocacy groups. That's
Okay,
what I was doing.
And
A
can
single
I
study
get
that
it
was
now?
cited in a single article.
Can I
Yeah,
have
but
a-
it's done by the government,
Okay.
right? Like the literal Center of
government.
Disease
All
Control,
right,
Wait, is
all
the
right.
right?
There's too many
government a
people
refuge
talking.
Right? I mean,
source
you're-
There's too
now,
many
or
people
are
talking.
they
That
There's
would
too
be
many
the
people
source that
talking.
y'all would
Again,
always
I'm
be
not
pointing to,
interrupting.
right?
I'm not interrupting to debate. There's too many people talking. Nobody can hear anything. Nobody in the audience is enjoying this. Too many people are talking. DemonMama, then Phil, please.
Okay. So Rob's point is neither here nor there. No one was talking about that. We were talking about the fact that this bill, the bill that we're actually talking about, the subject we're talking about, the subject that we're here to talk about, this bill is designed almost with laser targeting to make it impossible for the vast majority of people. 88%, I believe, was the number. It may be 80. I'm off by perhaps a couple percent, but nonetheless, the vast majority happen within that 8-week cutoff. And now this is a ban that starts at 6 weeks. I don't know if you know this, but most people don't know that they're pregnant until between 6 and 8 weeks. It's very easy to not know that. So there's a couple of issues here. One, if we want to talk about the issues of late-term abortions, that's a completely different issue that has absolutely nothing to do with what we're talking about here. And I don't really care to talk about that today because that's not what we're here to talk about. We're here to talk about the bill.
Just real quick, I asked a simple question. Can we
Also,
just
I
give
just
a
looked at the
baseline?
study.
Just a baseline so we can have the debate.
have some
Is
methodology-
everyone willing to say
methodology
that at
issues.
some point they would say abortions after this point, it should be against the law? That's all I said. And then I responded to, so I'm just asking the people on the left so we could have this discussion because the meat of this conversation is, don't we all agree that killing a baby is bad? Now we're just saying, where do we define when a baby begins? That's it. So I'm just trying to get a baseline. Is there a point where you would say, yeah, at a certain
I
point
wanna say
we should make
something.
these abortions legal? That's all I ask.
DemonMama, can I take this real quick?
Go for it, sure.
Okay. All right. So
I'd
if
like
you're-
afterward, though.
Yes, absolutely. If your value is to make sure that abortions happen sooner, then you would be so actively against this bill, it would make our heads spin. Because at the reality of what this bill creates is a bottleneck that forces young women to wait even longer to get those abortions, to actually create the problem that you're talking about right now.
Can you answer
So
the
it's-
question? That's
so the
like we
question.
can have this discussion. That's
Shut
fine.
the
Just
fuck
answer the
up and
question.
let her fucking
I am-
finish.
I am talking about the value
Spicy
of
panel.
late-term abortions. That's what I'm talking about, because you're creating a value judgment that late-term abortions are bad. So therefore, any bill that stops early-term abortions would inherently be bad. That's all I'm saying, Rob. Would you not agree with that point?
Before we could get into the debate, I want to know that I'm talking with people that are reasonable and say, yes, there is a certain point where it's a life and that it would be unreasonable to terminate. No one has
And
answered that.
Personally, me, it's viability. So
Okay,
if,
yeah,
if
great,
a
that's-
child can live outside of the body without the mother's assistance, sure, have a pregnancy,
great.
Have a birth, because that's
Yeah, the rest of the people. That's
technically
great.
a
That's
birth.
and
But-
it's
but-
important
but
to set this baseline to have the
Okay.
conversation.
Yeah, before we
am
continue.
I am
Appreciate your honesty,
talking
Josie.
about the value. I'm talking about the value of trying to prevent late-term abortions. So these laws are created to stop early-term abortions, which create the problem that you're trying to talk is a problem. Because right
Yes.
now, only 2% at the highest, I linked the study as well, that says that late abortions, 2% of all abortions happen after 21 weeks, okay? The rest of all the other abortions happen much before that. In fact, 88% of them happen before 8 weeks, okay? So the fact of the matter is, you're talking about a problem that doesn't already exist. We're trying to make sure that the system that exists is safe access to abortions, so women don't just do them or being held back by a government to make them leave a state, so then they have to go through the state systems, which take longer to see doctors when you're out of state.
And so,
So
I'll
that's-
just
Wait, before
answer
anyone
the-
continues, I'd like to remind you all that there are still 7 steel man chairs left in the game. If you think someone is arguing in bad faith, hit them with it and make them argue in good faith. Phil has been waiting for a long time to get in on this. He's had his hand up. He's been waving at me. Phil, would you like to read off your list of points?
Phil.
Go.
Just a couple. I know. Like, I am also the prince of patience. Let's be frank. Like, my kingdom expands. But what we're starting to descend into is one of the least valuable debates that can really be had. And what it is, well, my study says this. Well, no, my study says that. Well, my study, and you can point to exactly 0 fucking people in all human history that have ever been persuaded with a fucking study versus study debate. It just doesn't fucking happen. What you're doing
Okay.
is preaching to each other's choirs. That's
Hold
all
on,
that's
hold
going to
on.
go on. So
I
we're trying to talk
appreciate
about
what you're
principles.
saying.
What are what are the lines here? And I think that is actually a very valuable discussion if we can actually figure out what are our terms, what are our boundaries, what are our lines.
Sorry, guys.
And but just going, well, my study from this place says that I'm right. Well, fuck you. When I go to www.imright.com, it says, what do you know? I'm right. Fucking A, right. So
Okay.
I've never really seen a lot of progress on those.
I
and
wish
nobody
that
gets persuaded.
I wish that you were correct about that. However, there was a couple of things I wanted to say in my statement that I didn't. I said that I would wait until after Josie because Josie wanted to get something in. So I'm going to say a couple of things right now. First off, the study that was cited by Rob, which is, if I'm not mistaken, this study is by the Guttmacher Institute. This was a study originally published on the 4th of November. This study has a clarification which was not included in the article that Rob presented, and this says the original statement, which was used in the article that Rob presented, is that data suggests that most women seeking later term abortions are not doing so for reasons of fetal anomaly or life endangerment. This sentence is about abortions performed from 20 weeks to the end of the 2nd trimester. It does not handle abortions in the 3rd trimester. Only about 1% of all abortions occur in the 2nd half of pregnancy at all, and the vast majority of these occur close to 20 weeks. Afterwards, and you can read this yourself. I have the citation right here, the actual research, not the article that is adding their own thoughts to it. They go on to clarify here that 3rd trimester abortions are almost always because of an issue of health. So you are not correct about that. And the study that you cited, this exact study, has an addendum after that article was published to make it clear that no, that it was not being cited correctly. And if you don't believe me, I can provide the link right here. So I'm going to do that, and then I'm going to continue with the other points I wanted to make.
Yeah, I'd like to respond, if I may. That's even worse for your side.
It's getting
So
spicy.
if we can see that in second trimester abortions, 80% of those are actually not for reasons of health or something like that. That's even worse, because that's more abortions that are occurring that are just elective, that aren't for the reasons of health for the baby or for the person. Far more second trimester abortions happen than third trimester abortions. So that's even worse. So we're talking about more babies
You
that are
have
being
now
killed.
pivoted to a completely irrelevant
No,
point.
if you're right about
I'm going to continue with what I was going to say.
I'm
okay?
willing to accept the evidence. If you're right about the clarification makes the point even worse for your side.
No, it does not.
Yes,
it
sure.
We're not even here to
No, it does
discuss
not.
this anyway.
It
We're here to talk
absolutely
about
does
this
not.
bill, which
Okay.
is a heartbeat bill, which
Yes.
targets abortions, which are in the
Correct.
first trimester.
Hey, Rob,
So
remember
what
that
is
chair?
any of the,
Thank you.
Rob, what you've done is pivoted to
What's
some
that?
totally irrelevant
Remember that
nonsense
chair?
point, which has nothing to do with the point at hand.
You
You go
know.
ahead. You go ahead. I'm not getting. It
already
does
finished
have to
mine.
do with the point, and here's why. Because in order to have I actually respect Josie said viability, because the point is this: in order to have this debate, you need people to
I'm
agree
using
on
this chair.
certain things.
I'm using the steel chair.
Okay,
Steel
sure.
my argument for me.
Your argument is that we shouldn't focus on late-term abortions. Instead, we should focus on this bill uniquely because it bans abortions before 6 weeks. So talking about later-term abortions is irrelevant.
Wrong. Muted.
Well, says who? You?
Rob,
Yes.
you were
That sounded-
you were
that
getting
sounded
muted.
just like what I-
Determine it.
Rob, you were getting muted if you dropped the most beautiful Socratic fucking rhetoric in all human history.
Yeah,
Five
If that
minutes,
came
Rob.
out of your mouth, you were still
Yeah, that's
getting
the
muted.
bullshit. I
Sorry.
felt like that Rob did a good job on that.
Well,
At least
guess
that
what?
was my
It's up to the
understanding of what
person that
things
uses the
said.
chair. He's
No,
got 5
it's all
minutes.
right.
Oh.
No, that's my understanding too. So you know what? Fuck it. I'm banned for. Or I'm fucking muted for the next 5 minutes too. I don't give a fuck. Have you served a jerk? How's that?
All right.
Hell yeah.
All right. Well, actually,
Hell
since
yeah.
we're
All
throwing
right.
around chairs, Demon Mama, you need to steel man the pro-life position. Go.
Wrong. I
Whack!
need to steel man. Excuse me. I need to steel man your position. Is that correct?
The pro-life position. I'm
Nah.
whacking you with that
Dim-
one.
Demo.
And that's my chair. I spray painted
Also,
my letters
excuse
on
me.
it.
Hold on a
You
second.
are
Quick.
whacked. You got a steel man the
Clarification.
pro-life position right here, right now, folks. You're gonna see something you never thought you would see. Something so amazing. Demon Mama, steel man, and pro-life. Go.
All right.
Okay,
For
first of all,
clarification. Yeah. If he
So,
has made a
clarification,
pro-life
one,
argument,
Are you allowed to have two? Are you allowed to have two steel chairs at the same time? Because this feels like what's happening is that Rob got muted because he couldn't actually listen to my position, and now I'm getting what's the word?
Just swing it when I want.
Filibustered. I'm getting filibustered. So now I will
From
gladly.
Phil.
I will
Filibuster from Phil.
Excuse me.
The
Excuse me.
rules are that the steelman has to be for someone, the panelist argument, not just an argument of your
Correct.
choosing.
Okay, then assume I'm the
I would
most
like to
pro-life
request-
motherfucker that there's
Excuse me.
ever been.
Excuse me. I would like to request a extension of Rob's mute time in accordance with the rules. I think it would be just for me to have the silence that I've requested. And if you would like me to steelman your position, Phil, that would be very, very easy.
All right.
But I will do it after Rob's 5 minutes are up because I have earned.
Them's aren't
Excuse
the
me.
rules. It's
Excuse
immediately
me.
upon walking the
Excuse me.
chair. Them's the rules.
All
I've
right,
been writing.
moderator's going to make a rule. Wait.
Gonna-
Everyone stop talking. Moderator's making a rule. Now, this steel man chair is a new addition, which hasn't been tested before. So we're doing this live. Right. Rob is muted for another 3 minutes. So you've got 3 minutes to steel man Phil's position on pro-life.
Wait. Oh, okay. So I will steelman it after those 3 minutes.
No,
Correct?
you've got 3 minutes now. It's immediately
Oh,
when he
okay.
hits you
Yeah.
with the chair. If he wanted to throw all your
Yep.
chairs at the same time, you can do that,
Yes.
but then they'll be used
Phil's
up, guys.
Phil's position was very clearly stated that he believes that there are
Pro-life
empathetic.
position.
Excuse me. No, danabo. I was just listening to the
It's-
to the
I'm the
mod.
one who threw this chair, man.
It's
I'm
got to be
sorry.
if Phil's
Madam, that is the one who threw the chair.
Okay,
If he,
danabo.
um,
I need to know. This is like actually intolerable.
Yeah,
Like I'm
if Phil-
actually unable to talk.
If Phil
It's
presented
really-
a
it's really
pro-life
not fun.
argument, you've got to steelman it. If you
Okay,
the best
but
version of his argument.
Okay, the best version of his argument.
Yep.
His argument was that that we should have empathy on all sides. That there are people who care. That no one has a monopoly on empathy. That all sides are made of decent people, and we should be careful in this argument. Now, that was the position that Phil made. If you would like me to steelman also, I will, out of good nature, I will also steelman a pro-life position. Okay, the pro-life position is that a child is unborn or not, still a human life. Depending on where you draw that line, but many people will go from conception, but others will not. And because of that, we should not effectively make it legal to murder a human life. That is the pro-life position by and large. I believe that I have done a perfectly salient job.
Why do they
Steel
think
manning.
that?
What's that?
Why do they think that?
Well, I mean, there's many reasons.
Why do they think that?
Excuse me. Some people
That's
have
what
that.
I'm asking.
I steelmanned your position. This is not like what am I supposed to do? Just tell you why every single religion in the
Why do people think differently from you? That's what I'm trying to get you.
I know.
Can you
He's
actually
not
say?
defending a dissertation.
Because people come to different conclusions about things.
So you have no imagination to understand the.
No, wait. I
opinions
completely
of people
understand it. I
opposite
used to be.
him.
I used
All right. It was a valiant effort.
What the hell?
I'm gonna let the room
Danabo,
decide.
This is actually fucking
Democracy.
stupid.
This
I'm gonna let
Steelman seems like
democracy
it's bad
decide.
faith.
Raise your
Danabo,
hands.
I'm gonna
here
be
on the
completely honest with
I
you.
know, I'm
Wait, hold on a
This is
second. I'm gonna be
cringe.
Danabo, I'm gonna be completely honest with you. This is hands down the worst and most boring panel that I've ever been on in my
Oh,
entire life.
thanks.
Like no
Oh.
questions asked.
My tears.
Yeah,
my
no
tears.
offense to
I'm
you
so sorry.
personally, but I've
Wow.
literally
I'm
been
trying to
put-
get you to steelman a
I've
position that's not
literally-
your own, and you just can't do it.
Unironically,
I'm
I
sorry, we
I think
tried.
she did, and you were just
She
harassing
did.
her
Right.
as she was doing it.
All right.
Yep.
That's
I think
not
This
fair
is
to
like
her.
actually
Yeah.
fucking stupid. So,
Alright. I
yeah.
think-
I can tell that like literally there is such a level of demon mama derangement on this panel. I've literally been unable to say a single sentence for this entire thing, and it's actually
Quit quiet about it.
Minutes at a time.
I
it's
agree.
actually shameful. So
I agree with Demon Mama.
yeah, it's
I agree as well.
it's like I thought that like I mean I knew that I was dealing with some like fucking toddler level people here, but like what I've seen today is
insulted
actually
your
one of
ideas
the
once.
most
If you had better ideas,
Why
you
is
wouldn't
it
need
you're
the
doing the
insult.
most?
You're doing it again right now as we speak.
If you had better ideas, you wouldn't need the
completely
insult. I'm
hijacking
sorry,
the
I
time
I
think
that
can't
we
even
should
get
have
through a
talk.
fucking
It's
intro without getting
pathetic.
interrupted, and you're sitting
Everybody
down
stop,
here
everybody stop, everybody
actually
stop, everybody
fucking
stop,
I'm
everybody
crying.
stop.
calling you
all right.
Steelman, Demon Mama, Steelman my position. Go ahead.
All right.
Wait, can you do two steel chair or three steel
Each
chairs?
chair.
They're all
no,
gonna hit you
no,
with
sure.
them. All right.
No,
There was
I
Go ahead.
refuse.
Go.
No,
You have to go
though,
immediately. Go.
because there
I
was no
think
mute,
that we
though,
get
there.
rid of the
Fuck you.
Steelman
No, no,
chair
no,
right
it was
now.
over.
Everybody
no,
stop!
no,
Everybody
no,
stop!
no,
Everybody
no,
stop!
no,
Everybody
no,
stop!
no.
Everybody stop! Everybody
No,
stop!
absolutely.
Everybody
I
stop!
don't think that I've
I'm-
been even given. I haven't even been given a most basic level of respect.
Why
to
is
be
she?
able to finish
Why
this.
is she
Alright.
delaying? She has to
Everybody
do it
stop.
immediately,
Everybody
right,
stop.
Danabo?
Everybody
Go ahead.
stop.
Steelman my
You're doing
position.
it again right now.
Everybody stop! Everybody stop! Everybody stop! I'm not accepting any more steelmans at this moment. You're all just being. I don't know what you're doing. I don't know what you're doing right now. What
All right,
I'm gonna
we'll
do.
see you guys later. Then.
What
If
I'm
you're
gonna
going to
do-
change the rules, if you're going to change
What
the
I'm gonna
rules, in the
do.
middle
What
of
I'm
the
gonna
day,
do
like,
is just
Rob,
I'm gonna
please.
throw it.
Feelings hurt.
I'm
You
gonna
get
throw it to
quiet for
people that
5
haven't
goddamn
talked.
minutes.
I'm gonna throw it to people that haven't talked for a while. I'd like to hear.
You mean like me, Danabo? Like I've literally been trying to have a sentence here for the last fucking 10 minutes. I
Yeah.
literally got.
We'll come back
It
when.
is-
Danabo,
All right, right. We'll come back when that's calmed down. All right. Right,
I had to be quiet for 5 minutes and
Stop,
ask her
come
to
on.
steelman my position.
This is something else. I'd like to hear from Maddie, and then we'll go back
I'm
into
gonna leave
normalcy.
if we're gonna change the rules. I'm gonna leave, and I'm not coming back to the show.
No,
Right
don't.
now
don't.
articulated her position accurately.
damn.
She said
No,
no to
don't,
this.
don't.
Please
Five
don't
minutes.
go.
So I'm
Don't do
asking
it.
her to steelman my position.
We've just had like 3 in a row. I'd like to give it 5 minutes to calm
I
it
would
down.
like her to steelman my position,
All
which
right,
I asked first
We'll do that
before
And
after.
the
Phil,
moderator
and she
is
did
saying
not.
that you
Danabo.
Never
can
did
do
it.
and then she
You
will
want me-
give
I would
you
like
a
her to
steelman,
steelman
and
the
then you
position.
can have your
Danabo,
fun
do you want me
done,
to?
and
I'll
then
do it.
everyone will be
Here's the
happy.
deal. Here's the deal.
If you'd
I will
like
take
to,
the
Demon
steel
Mama.
man chair, but I want you,
Jesus.
Danabo, and
Right.
every single else to be muted after that. I want you to mute yourself and let me actually have a fucking turn to talk. Because this entire fucking panel, I've sat here smoking cigarette after cigarette. Every time I open my mouth, these fucking clowns over here try to freak out, and they act like they're funny, but they're literally just screaming. It's childish shit.
All
It's,
right, Demon Mama,
this is,
everyone
like,
else is muted.
useless.
You go.
Fantastic.
sense
All
of
right.
humor.
So first, I'm going to steelman Rob's position. Rob's position is that we need to agree upon a basic rule of decency as to whether we believe that babies should be killed out at the day before they're born or not. And that is the position that Rob has been arguing for here. I would have loved to address that, even though I think there are issues with turning the conversation to that question. That I believe is a perfectly steelman version. Rob walked into here and said, we need to be able to agree that somewhere along the line, we have to agree there's a line at where that begins. And we obviously can't, nobody here
Mhm.
believes that children
Well,
should be
that's
killed
what-
outside of the womb. Is that not accurate?
Right, I've unmuted Rob. I'm not sure if he was actually listening there. I don't know. Judging
Yeah,
by the
I heard her.
camera. Okay.
That is not accurate. So mute her.
Can you explain how it's different, please?
I
Please.
asked you to
You
explain.
didn't
how
have to
my
fucking
point is different.
explain.
You were unwilling.
That's
So no, I
good.
won't explain. You were
did.
wrong.
No,
So
this-
she's muted for 5 minutes.
Right,
That's
this
the rule.
feels incredibly bad faith, Rob.
Could I
What's wrong
steal
with it?
my
Yeah,
Yeah,
so
you didn't think it was
doesn't
bad
this-
faith when she did that?
I,
You didn't think it was bad
You
faith when
didn't
she refused
accurately
to say how
represent
I
my position.
articulated her argument?
I would just.
Which I directly, specifically
The mute was
articulated.
up to
All right.
subjective opinion.
That's
Kim.
right. That was the rule.
All right,
I
every-
was silenced without giving an explanation. 5 minutes for
All right.
Lefties
Demon
hate it when
All right,
right wingers.
I'm trying to talk here. I'm trying to
moderate.
moderate, right? If I'm talking, I'm
Perpetual
not
bit.
trying to add to the conversation. I'm trying to moderate. I would like Rob to just explain to me why it wasn't a good representation.
Right,
If
I
you
will
would,
do
just
so when
just
I-
humor me, please, Rob.
Sure, I will do so, and then she will immediately argue why she didn't represent why I didn't represent her.
Well, I'm
position.
listening to you in
Fair,
good
I'll do
faith.
it.
So if I
But did
disagree,
you listen? Did you ask her? I directly articulated
I'm-
her position, and I was told I had to be muted because she
moderators
subjected.
are
okay,
really
I'm
bad.
asking you. I'm asking
She
you,
didn't
Rob.
have to explain.
Rob,
Okay, I will say
just
it
humor
had
me.
nothing to
That's
do
a
with.
subjective
I never
opinion.
once in anywhere in my position did I say anything about that. My point is that the day before a baby is born, we shouldn't allow an abortion. I never said anything close to that. I challenge anyone to go back in the
say
pod
that.
and say that. I
You're
did.
literally not. I literally said
tape.
I never argued
Right,
that.
well, that wasn't
What
the
are you
argument.
talking
so-
about?
Yes, thank you, Danabo. I literally said that your
That
argument.
was her argument. She literally said that.
Well,
Rob's
let's-
I didn't.
arguing
Let's
that we
let
have to have a
Demon Mama
baseline that we
restate. Let
should-
Demon Mama
We can
restate.
look at
Demon
videos.
Mama
We can look at
restate.
like video.
Yes.
We can
Sure,
like
go
look
ahead.
at.
Demon
Say
Mama
that.
restate.
I'm honestly
Let's
like,
talk.
Sure, go ahead.
this is another level. This is
Right.
like another level.
Demon
I'm
Mama
about to
restate.
deafen.
Demon Mama restate.
Okay, it was super straightforward. I said that Rob's argument, which I believe this is objectively true and we can verify, but Rob came in and said that we should all be able to agree that somewhere there is a line, and he asked us where that line was. Now, nobody actually got to answer that question because it got filibustered almost immediately. And the reason why I threw this steel chair was because I genuinely believed that Rob was not addressing my point. And
That's
he
inaccurate.
proved
She's
wasn't.
inaccurate.
Now, did
She's
I not just accurately state almost word for word what Rob's question was going into this? You cannot tell
Not
me
even
that's the
close.
case.
Not
Okay.
even close. In fact, the
Danabo,
reason that I was talking about
okay,
the
fine.
trimester
I'll
abortions, which
skip my
people-
mute then if that's the case. But I think everyone in the audience knows
can
I
mute you.
restated it perfectly. Please mute.
Right, just like I restated your position perfectly. What the people were challenging me on was the fact that I cited evidence that talked about later term abortions because that was in direct response to Maddie saying people that get these later term abortions actually don't do them for elective
And
reasons.
it
It's always
turns
for
out
reasons of the
Maddie
baby's
was
health.
right.
We talked about that specifically because in order to be able to have a discussion on this, we need to agree. Everyone needs to agree that there's some sort of point that we have where we say after this abortion shouldn't be allowed. The reason I'm arguing against you, which you were unable to cover in your Steelman, is the argument, but most abortions occur earlier doesn't apply because in order to have that conversation, we need to have a prima facie conversation about when we think that it would be acceptable to have abortions or not. So no, you failed to cover my
I don't
position
think we do,
adequately,
though, 'cause
and
we're not here
therefore
to
you
talk
should be
about
censored for
abortion.
5 minutes.
We're here to talk about the bill. We're here to talk about the bill, right?
2021. This is awesome.
Yeah, listen, like we're here to talk about the bill, which has nothing to do with late-term abortions. Okay, this is specifically targeting abortions that can be as little as 6 weeks. So I don't know what, I appreciate your point, Rob, I do. And I agree that, yeah, listen, if the baby is like a few days away, I don't think the mother should be able to have an elective abortion and be like, actually, do you know what? I'm about to have the baby, but I've changed your mind. Can I have abortion? Obviously, yeah, have the baby. And then you can, do you know what I mean? So yeah, there's a point. I don't know when it is. We can discuss that on another panel. Sure. Why not? But we're not here to discuss that.
Okay,
talk
the
about this
reason that you start
patiently
the
waiting.
baseline and then we could go on is because the reason that some people say that the heartbeat is the point where we should say this is now a life, right? And so the arguments that people were making of like, well, that's not the case, or well, that's immoral because X, Y, and Z. It's not immoral if people that are making that are arguing this is the point of life, right? So that's where the debate happens, right? So all the people
do you
saying, well, your
define
policy would cause more
a heart?
abortions of this, that's not the point. We should not legalize allowing the killing of a baby. And if the definition of when that baby is born is it's 6 weeks or when we first see a heartbeat, then yes, all abortions after that should be illegal. So then we could have a conversation on the science. That's why it's important to have this conversation.
Maddie, please.
Sweet God.
Thank you.
Okay.
By the way, is she muted? Demon Mama's
So,
muted
by
for
the way,
4
your
minutes?
turn is fucking done. Shut the fuck up.
I'm not impressed.
I'm fucking
I'm not
done.
impressed
This
by
whole
you.
thing has been white male rage. White male rage.
Oh, there's the
White
victims
male
again.
rage.
White male.
Right,
Outrage
Maddie didn't-
rages, white male rage.
Can we just let Maddie
Okay,
talk?
So anyways, as I was saying, Robin. Jesus Christ. So
Oh,
anyway,
misgendering now? Cool.
Robin
Misgendering?
is
Cool.
a gender neutral name. Are you kidding? Is your name not
Oh,
Robin?
why'd you choose to call me that name then? Just curious.
Is your name not Robin?
Oh, you didn't know.
Probably
No, my name's
Robert.
Rob, as it's written.
Probably
in-
Robert.
Is it Robert?
Yeah, isn't that wow? What? Yeah, wow.
strike
It's
me
kind
as
of
a Robin.
and of course,
Anyways.
more pronoun people intentionally.
So,
misgendering
listen,
people. Sexist that
anyways,
you all are.
sorry,
Good job.
Robert.
Let your pronouns up, so we don't know. what
Maybe I
pronoun
should
you use.
contact Twitch TOS, right? Oh,
Welcome
Have your
to our
pronouns up. How are you-
beautiful disaster.
All right.
All right.
Maddie, please.
Anyways, in reference to the study provided by Rob, there are some interesting methodology questions that I would have on it, which is why when we brought up and we say, oh, you're citing one study, that's interesting because there are a lot of issues that can come up from just a single study, especially when there are issues with the methodology. So one thing I want to bring up is that study only has a sample size of 272 women. 272 women over the course of 2 years.
provide a different study.
The
then. We
interviews
can-
that happened 1 week after they had the procedure. So you might
Your
think,
study
oh, but it
sucks.
might be
No,
hard to
your
find these
study
people. But like
sucks.
that is as a teeny tiny, as someone who works in fucking honest to God marketing, conducts market research constantly, is well aware of how statistics work in the real world, especially when you're looking at peer-reviewed studies, is that is a fucking teeny tiny goddamn sample size to be drawing some grandiose fucking conclusions from. And
Okay, provide a
there's
counter.
reason that
I'll be
addendum,
willing to
there's a reason the addendum was added that basically said that the conclusion that article drew from that research was inaccurate. So let's talk about what constitutes killing a baby and a heartbeat, because I brought this up in my opening statement. So when we talk about a heartbeat, I'd like to know, what are we defining that as? Because it turns out what you hear from any sort of sonogram or anything else in the first trimester is not a fucking heartbeat, because the fetus does not, in fact, have a heart yet.
What
So
about people who
you're
don't accept that
hearing-
frame?
What you're hearing
There's a lot of people,
are
tens of millions,
cells
that don't
that are
accept
going
that frame
to
at
form
all.
what you're hearing
You're just ignoring them.
cardiac cells that are starting to contract and start to mimic what will eventually become a heartbeat. But that in itself is not. So if we want to get caught up on definitions, if we want to get caught up on legal definitions in the law, I would say starting with what the fuck constitutes a heartbeat and what is required, especially given the fact that they are allowing citizens to sue for people who seek abortions, I would think we could fucking start there. Don't you think?
Cool. So your definition, you could easily say the same thing about any part of a baby. You could say, well, it's actually pre-baby, so terminating it's okay. We see from sources all through.
That is what I said. You're right. Fuck.
Right. So again, now we see that you're giving the excuse to terminate a baby at any point,
Pre-baby.
because you define.
Are you
You
indicating
define.
there's a pre-baby?
Right.
Come on, Maddie.
So an
Clearly.
8-month-old, real quick, Maddie. So an 8-month-old
Come on.
baby is
Okay,
a pre-baby.
Robert.
It's not an
Demon Mama,
8-month.
pass that shit.
8-month-old baby in the womb is a pre-baby and not a baby, correct?
That's that shit, Demon Mama.
No, not at all. 8 months,
It's
where
not
it
a
has
ba-
the heartbeat and everything. No, it's a baby because it has its
Oh,
own
okay,
abilities
so-
and live outside
so-
the womb.
So then when do you think a heartbeat comes? Only when the heart's fully developed? That's your argument?
Do you think just like cardiac cells fucking pulsing constitutes
Yes.
a heartbeat?
Yes, I do.
That's a fucking
So
bummer,
that means,
dude.
wait, so that means
That's exactly what it. Cardiac cells pumping blood is. It's acting as a heart. That
I-
is a
The
that-
fact that I
heartbeat,
had
yes.
an abortion, would you call
Can I-
me
can I
a baby
pop in?
murderer?
When did you have the abortion? What trimester?
I had it at 8 weeks.
I don't know. I don't know. the
My
science
baby
enough to
murderer?
know exactly when we would
That
say
would be
that we
after
should
the
determine whether or not it's a life.
Is
But
that
we should
answer?
determine whether or not we should determine what our stance is on when we say that it is a life in the womb.
Is that answer
Spineless
or no?
coward. You're so spineless. She just told you that she had it at 8 weeks. This is before the heartbeat ban goes. But listen, we all know that none of
Can
this
you
is
be muted, fuckhead?
Excuse
It's
me.
been 5 minutes, idiot.
It's
She,
been
she, her,
it's been
shouldn't
6
have
You've
been
been
right.
talking for
Everyone
that
say
More
long.
than 5 minutes.
Steel man chair.
Time
Shouldn't she have been
flies when
muted?
you're
She
with
never
your
got
Was
queen
muted.
already
queen,
muted.
folks.
I
She never got
muted
muted.
myself.
She never got
Excuse me.
muted. Oh, muting
Excuse me.
yourself's not the
It's
same.
been
You
6
and Josie
minutes.
are
I
talking.
haven't used
She
my
should be
steel
muted.
chair.
Let's
All
mute
right.
her
I'm
for
gonna use
5
my
minutes.
steel
Then we'll
chair
continue
right
with
now.
this
All
debate.
right,
Sure,
Josie,
I'm
I'm
gonna use
listening.
my steel chair. God damn it.
Let's mute her
Just
for
beat
5
me
I'm
to
gonna
minutes.
use
it.
my
Continue with
steel
the debate.
chair. Rob, can you please argue Maddie's position for her, please?
Yes, I could argue Maddie's position. She'll just say that the answer is not acceptable, like when I correctly articulated Demon Mama's position, and she did the
Tell
same.
me more things I'm gonna do.
Well, I'll
Sure, I
moderate
will.
this. Go on.
You're gonna right. Yeah, you're gonna intentionally misgender people and play nonsense because it's okay for
Robin.
leftists to
That
demand
man
that
and
people
Robin.
Robin
All right, this is not steel man, Rob.
They
Come
want to
on.
misgender people,
Robin.
but okay, but yeah, sure. I'll steel man your position. Your position is that the majority that you think with the heart cells, because the heart's not fully formed. When people say they hear a heartbeat, it's not actually a heartbeat. It's just cardiac cells that are pulsating.
Oh, we're just doing like a small portion. We're not doing my like.
Oh, you want me to
position
do the whole
on
position?
bill?
So you want
doing
me
the
to
point,
spend the next
though.
10 minutes re-articulating?
Isn't that what we're fucking talking about? I'm sorry, did I black out?
Sure, I could spend more time talking. So your position is that
I would love
you
that, thank
yourself
you.
is a tragic victim that's had an abortion, and you're desperately trying to not seem like a bad person, and you had to announce how you're a victim and how you've gone through this process, and now you desperately need to not be able to seen as a
This
monster.
is
if it turns
immediately
out that
bad
you
faith,
killed a
Rob.
baby.
Come on.
He's
So
losing
then you
that.
constantly went on with
Bad
this,
faith.
and then so you're trying to make
Rob.
the argument that you think what's that?
This is immediately bad faith. Come on. You're better than this.
Yeah, you just called her a victim.
Come on.
It's
Right.
bad faith.
I didn't call myself
That's
a
right.
victim.
That's what I did.
don't see myself
She
as a
wants me to
victim.
go through the whole process. She asked me to talk about
made
everything
that
that she's talked
decision.
about. She
The
started
best
off
version
talking
of her
about-
argument, Rob.
She
Come on.
gave us a story
God.
about how she had an abortion.
I know you're
So I'm
capable of it.
articulating her position as I see it. She had this abortion, and she can't think that that would be a bad thing, and so she's justifying it by saying, "Look, this heartbeat isn't really a heartbeat, but we need to provide safe access to abortions for people. A bill like this would mean people would get abortions elsewhere, and it would be bad." That's what she's articulating.
Oh, Danabo. I mean, you know.
I know. All right.
You know the answer.
I know the answer. I mean,
You
you
guys
could have
have
done it,
fun
Rob.
on
You
your
could
little
have done it,
game here
Rob.
with the
You
rules
could have done it,
jumping all
Rob.
the time.
You could have been good
In
faith.
fact, the
You
decision
guys,
I
you guys
made
have fun with your
was
little
the right
game.
decision
Your
for me.
shifting
And
position.
that's
Go
why
ahead,
I'm
go ahead and
talking
mute
about
me.
it on the stream.
Go ahead and mute me. Go ahead. I don't mind. You didn't do it for Demon Mama when she
Do
didn't
you not
articulate my
mind?
Because
position.
you'd
But go ahead and mute
self-mute.
me.
You
Demon
can
Mama,
self-mute
she
if you
got
like.
muted. I got
allowed.
muted. I got muted. Demon Mama's
Oh.
been muted.
Would you
No,
like?
she wasn't muted.
Would you like to
Yeah,
self-mute?
she was.
Go
Just
for
a
it.
She was
muted.
muted.
Oh, no. All right.
5 minutes.
He's
She
not-
was muted the whole
Alright.
time I was just talking.
All right.
Sorry, I know maybe you don't always pay attention when women talk, but I was talking, and that's when she wasn't talking because she was muted. So just to clear that up, I know, simple mistake.
So to counter that, just because someone else, i.e., a man in this case, starts talking, you decide that you don't hear them either, Maddie. I've been watching a lot of what,
Oh, I
frankly, has
unfortunately
been
hear.
disgusting behavior. Right?
I
This,
unfortunately hear
frankly,
all
this
of it.
whole fucking panel has just. Honestly, I'm fucking like disgusted with everyone's fucking behavior here tonight. Frankly, right?
Yep.
So with that being
Sorry,
said,
Dad.
no, shut the fuck. Everybody else, shut the fuck up right now, because I'm making my exit. Right? I've had enough of all this dumb shit that y'all are doing tonight. Right? The behavior here has been absolutely abhorrent. Right? And frankly, I don't think that anybody here wants to have a good faith discussion. And since you don't want to have a good faith discussion, right?
Right.
The only way for me to eliminate the toxicity from this is to simply not be a part of it, right? So y'all have a good night. CTV's out.
CTV, love
Well, there
you.
goes one. All right.
Well,
later.
that was interesting.
On that note, we're going to
Uh,
go into closing statements because I think we need to stick a fork in this one and we're done. Rob, you're unmuted for closing statements. All right. So next time, reduce the number of steel chairs is what I'm getting. Maybe 2 per side because you overuse these things this time.
Probably make you the final judges to the mute. That
Yeah,
would probably be the best.
I'm gonna
thing.
have to be the arbiter. I thought you could. I
I'm-
thought you could honestly
yeah.
have good
So
faith
no one can
conversations with
value
yourselves, but you
anything.
didn't. But
I was gonna leave it up to
Yeah.
democracy. I was gonna let the room panel vote. Like, so what do you think? Did Demon Mama do it? Come on, give me some.
You know
Bring
what?
democracy into it.
I just thought that
Because
you would all
actually,
have
when,
good
when
faith
Rob
discussions.
started
but
and he
no.
got my position on like the first thing, I'm like, yeah, that's my position on that. But we were asking more about my larger one, and then he went on that fucking like deranged diatribe, and I'm like, well, you lost me. You had me. I was gonna like say, you know what, that was what I was saying.
Right.
But
Oh, but you didn't. But
then
right,
you
got it.
just, like,
But
went
you said
off
no,
the
no, you
deep
got to keep
end.
going. You got to
Right,
keep
right,
going.
right, right. The
Weird.
end, the end, the end, the
No,
end.
I
Right, we're
said
doing
I'm
closing
talking-
statements. We're
I'm
doing
getting a
closing.
little
Stop
nervous.
talking. Stop
I'm
talking.
saying
I'm
my
not talking for no
position.
reason. I'm talking to moderate. We're gonna end this. We're gonna stick a fork in it. We're done. We're gonna go into closing statements. I am gonna start. Well, I started with CTV. He's already gone. So CTV, and then Chud. I'll let you go next, so you can dip out. If you want to give your closing statement and an outro at the same time, go ahead and do so, Chud.
Yeah, sure, no worries. Yeah, I mean, unfortunately, we ended up talking about third trimester abortions for some reason, even though this bill has nothing to do with that. I mean, it's funny because, yeah, of course, like there comes a stage where you shouldn't have an abortion if the baby is imminent, or there's some,
You
I don't know
need me
what the
to
line
get
is,
you?
but sorry, what was that?
Sorry, I was speaking to my chat.
Oh, sorry. No, no worries. Don't worry, it happens. So yeah, in any case, I mean, the bill, even if you are someone who is, the only people this is going to benefit is weird, pro-life Karens who are going to, inundate medical professionals with endless court cases about abortion. It's totally ridiculous, not even fit for purpose. I can't believe that anyone with a sane head on their shoulders would be supportive of this, even if they were pro-life. So it's not even fit for purpose in its stated goal. Other than that, it strikes away bodily autonomy for women, which is extremely egregious, very bad. I don't agree with it. I don't like it. It sucks. And that's all I've got to say on it. I'm ChudLogic. You can find me by searching ChudLogic on all good social media platforms. And follow my producer at Irrational Chad on Twitter for some memes. And that's it.
Thank you, Chud. All right. Binx.
But
Closing statement and outro, Binx. Are you still in shock?
oh, but I'll be honest. I'm really drunk. I'm too drunk for this fucking conversation. I don't know when a fucking baby comes. Like when a baby's a baby. What the fuck? I'm just a dude on fucking Twitch. Why are you asking me that question? I don't fucking know. Like Jesus Christ.
Honest guy on the panel.
Yeah, and as for like the law, I don't know. I don't like fucking snitches. So that was like kind of my vibe against it. But other than that, I don't know. I'm Binx. Whatever. Don't follow me. Just I don't know. I want to leave. I want to go.
Don't follow me.
Thanks, Binx. Josie.
Steer clear.
Okay. Thanks for that. So I've already stated a lot of my arguments and positions. Unfortunately, this panel never got to the point where we actually got in depth in any arguments whatsoever. I'm very disappointed in that because I think that we had a huge opportunity to actually talk, especially with Maddie's intro, which was so contextual to the actual fact. And we didn't have an opportunity to have this conversation. And I hope that when we do these panels again, that we kind of tone down the loud mics and just yelling into them. It was a little much. It was a little much. But
Queen
anyways,
Pshaw.
abortion ban in Texas, awful. Texas is doing a lot more awful things. There's 28 states right now currently that are putting trans bans on the books right now of different things from healthcare, sports, and even child abuse. So this is a huge issue that states are doing, and they're doing this without actual science and medicine involved. This is how clear it is. But anyways, I'm Josie Rose Caballero. You can follow me on Twitch at twitch.tv/Josie Rose, the letter C. And that's where you can find me. You can also find me on all my social media with that same tag. And yeah, we just started streaming about 3 months ago and things are going great. So join the Love Nest, be a part of the community. We're super cozy here, always try to do panels and have great conversations about politics and reacting on different issues, especially around trans rights. So thank you so much for having me on the panel today.
Thank you, Josie. Rob, please.
Yeah, so the reason we are talking about third trimester abortion so much is because the left, as usual, can't answer a simple question. Do you think that there's a point where you think that it would be wrong to have an abortion? All four could have said yes. That's how the conversation would have went. We would have said, okay, great. Given that, now the discussion becomes, is 5 weeks too early? Is 6 weeks too early? That's what the discussion would be. Instead of grandstanding on, oh no, this is a horrible thing or this is a terrible thing, the discussion would literally be the science of when should we say, should it be viability at 24 weeks? Should it it be, a brain activity? Should it be heart activity? That's where the discussion is. And I would cede to medical experts when they think that baby, we consider it a life. That's what I thought the debate would be, but the left couldn't articulate a position. They couldn't defend anything. Instead, immediately we saw Maddie go off. We saw Josie go off on all of these tangents about, and Josie eventually said viability, which was fair. But how hard would it have been to say that immediately? If the question would have been asked to me, I would have said yes, end of story. We could have moved on with the conversation. Unfortunately, we could see the bad faith from, I like danabo a lot. The moderation was lacking, to say the least. We could see that I correctly articulated Demon Mama's position. She just said no. That was acceptable. She didn't have to describe that wasn't the case. Then she wasn't muted afterwards. This is the bullshit that you constantly see. It started pre-show where the leftists had to whine that they didn't like the topic so we could talk about new stuff. That really went well, right? We hashed out some new topics that haven't really been covered. Went pretty well, right? And so this is constantly what you see from the left. Perpetual victimhood, complaining about white men, doing the very things that they claim to despise, intentionally misgendering people and shit like that. I don't mind though. Don't worry. I ain't gonna cry about it. I'm not a fragile person like you guys. Are you interrupting me again? Of course, the rules don't apply to the leftists on the panels, right? So we can always see that. Demon Mama, who filibusters for 20, 30 minutes and then says, I didn't get to finish a point, who then immediately interrupts anyone that talks. Like, it's just constant fragility and nonsense from these people. I will not be returning to this panel, unfortunately, though I still like danabo and would work with him in the future. But unfortunately, the leftists that can't
Rob,
even
we
answer
love you.
and I have to talk about, all sorts of other, you're fragile when you don't let me ramble on for 8 minutes. It's just absolutely horseshit. Like, that's what's going on. And shame on you, danabo, for this instance of changing the rules halfway through, because you realize the Steelman thing's a bad idea, and you realize Demon Mama was operating in bad faith when she said I didn't correctly articulate her position. She can't even articulate her own position because she just, filibusters on and on about being potential victim. It's nice that we got through a speech, though, without her talking about electrodes on testicles, though, for once, and screaming about how she's a perpetual victim. So it's good to see that. But it's always great to see the disingenuous people that seek to cancel anyone or say that you have to call them certain words or something like this.
I mean, this
and
is a
claim that
2-minute
the rules
closing, bro. Come on.
Oh, I thought you were going to give me the 30-second hand wave when it happens. You're not being fragile, are you? Trying to cut me off while I'm still having a point. I would think that would be you being fragile, right? That's how this works. You could just talk as long as you want, and then when someone tries to stop you, you call them fragile, right? That's how it goes, Demon Mama. So you can continue to see her perpetual victimhood at how she does things. She never has any sort of argument whatsoever. Oh, why don't you say the T word? Because she was going to run and try to get me banned because it's someone who's claiming she's not for censorship. Have you seen anyone on the left actually speak up against the people that have been censored for misgendering people and shit like that? No, because they're all for it, because they're a bunch of hypocrites that never hold themselves to the same standards that they seek to hold other people for. So it's great to see a panel full of people that want the moderation and the topics to be totally what they want to talk about, and to have that moderation change in the middle of it to make sure that they could get away with the bullshit that they feel like talking about, because they're incapable of standing on the merits of their arguments alone. They can't answer simple questions. They go off on diatribes that have nothing to do with the questions that have been asked of them. They can't in good faith argue anything that they were asked of, such as when someone steelmans their argument correctly, they can't admit it. Okay, I'll leave you go. I guess I'll leave it go, though. I think you're being quite fragile, danabo. Lastly, I'll say that the reason this started off in bad faith wasn't just because the discord happened before this, but because we could see that Demon Mama immediately started calling people names. And then when people responded to her name calling being fragile, pointing out that she, as we could all see, is the actual person that's fragile, she then once more played the victim. We saw intentional misgendering. We saw claims of can't handle women, white men, blah, blah, blah. It's just all horseshit victimization. I'm loving it. I had a great time on the panel because it's so great to be able to watch you people violate all the supposed moral standards that you claim to have. You're just a bunch of worthless people that can't articulate an argument to save your lives. So you come together in this little bubble thinking that because you stay together in this bubble, it somehow makes you effective speakers. But the rest of the world can see you for the sexy shit that you truly are. So you all have a good night. Thanks so much for having me on your panel, danabo. I look forward to working with
Take care, Rob.
people on the left can kiss my ass, right?
Temper tantrum fucking
Rob,
infant.
Look upset.
Jesus.
I'm having a great time.
Wait.
Your voice was cracking.
Wait.
Your voice was cracking a bit. Sounded like you were going to cry, buddy.
Is that what it looks like?
Wait.
I think I'm having a great time.
Right. All right. Closing statements. Right. I just sometimes I get in a trance when Rob talks like that. He can go for about 30 minutes without even taking a breath, and I'm sorry, I'm just hypnotized by him. I think the Steelman chair is a great idea. I think it does need tweaking. I think I'm gonna have to be the judge of whether it was used in fairness or not, because people, grown adults, can't act in good faith. I can't believe it. Grown adults cannot act in good faith. Who would have guessed it? Demon Mama, please.
Peace out, everyone.
Cheers, Rob.
Rob.
Yeah.
Bye.
Damn. How do we even
Don't
start with this?
go.
Okay, so yeah, let me just sum up the topic that we were talking about. The issue doesn't really have to do with the timing in the big picture. What we're talking about here is that if we want to make things safe as possible, regardless of where you fall philosophically, and if we'd actually been able to talk about this, we would have been able to get to this. Regardless of where you fall philosophically, it's very simple to point out that this type of law is bad for everyone. It doesn't save children. Even if you believe that children are at conception, it doesn't do it. It doesn't succeed. This bill is very bad in numerous ways. Not only does it force people into later trimester emergency abortions in other states, but it functionally criminalizes abortion as a whole. Now, if you really wanted to save lives, you would offer alternatives to abortion, whether it's social services that would allow people to keep their children and take good care of them, whether it was robust adoption. There's a million other options. We never got there. So we never really talked about it. And I think we all know, I don't need to rehash what happened on this panel. But if you want to understand what it is that makes grown men literally turn into whining children, you should come by DemonMama.com and you can find out exactly why so many of these absolute motherfucking children have demon mama derangement syndrome. And I think you know what you saw. I think you saw this. We all know that I couldn't get a word in edgewise without these motherfuckers jumping all over me for having pronouns. You know, the reason why I asked Rob if he wanted to say that the T slur to me was because it really feels like that's what he's really mad about. He's mad that he can't just come on this panel and say whatever the fuck he wants about me. But I gave him the opportunity and he didn't take it. Why? Because he's a spineless coward. Just like he wouldn't say to Maddie's face that he thinks that she's a child killer, just like he won't say to my face that he thinks that I'm a T slur, maybe an F slur. Rob has no spine. Rob has no purpose on these panels but to scream and ruin everyone's time. And we all know that everyone had a worse time because of Rob's presence. And guess what? I was perfectly fine to have a conversation here. I love getting spicy. I love going back and forth. But that was fucking stupid, and we all know it. But anyway, come on by. You can come and talk to me about it. We always do Q&A afterwards. Love to have you come by the channel, demonmama.com/live.
Thank you, Demon Mama. And yeah, after that group DM, it was never going to be good, was it? Who have we got left? Phil.
Well, folks, this discussion was certainly a box of fluffy dubs, wasn't it? I mean, it was just like it's never gone smoother. Like this, basically just a BBC debate on like botany. This what just was so smooth. But folks, every last person on this panel, follow every last one of them. JosieRoseC on Twitch, DemonMama.com. Binker, definitely. Maddycakes, also danabo on Twitch, so you can get more content because more is coming down the pike. He's gonna tweak it. He's gonna make it. He will build it stronger, better, faster, like the $6 million man. But folks, for those who do not know, I am the devilishly handsome outlaw himself, your king of extreme, Phil KOE. You can find me at KOE Nation on YouTube and Twitch. Also, be sure to check me out at the Revolutionary Wrestling Podcast on YouTube and Spotify and Big Buckin' Empire for all of your news, updates, pop culture, and what's going on in this world. Folks, as I'm known to say around here, all that being said, thank you for joining us. Thank you for being here. Thank you for giving us your evening and lending us your ear so we could exchange ideas. And it was a rough road. It was rough going, but we got there together and we did it here on Danabo's channel. Be sure to follow this man. There's more coming down the pike. As I said, I am Phil KOE of KOE Nation, the Lord of the Scottish Highlands, the conqueror of the ethereal, the prince and potentate of the political parlance. And all you beautiful people, raise a glass to yourselves. Thank you for being here. Thank you for joining us. God bless every last one of you, and I hope to see you back here happy, healthy, much the wiser. Danabo, good sir, take it away.
Thank you very much, Phil. But there's one person left. Maddie, please.
Sorry, anytime
take it away.
Phil does an intro or an outro, I get so hyped. So, like, Phil, you are made to like be a carnival announcer or like a magician on like a grand stage. Like, you just have that
Resemble that remark.
showmanship. So it's hard for me to not get so amped after that outro. Yeah, I mean, it's a bummer. Like, I think there's so much substance to discuss with the Texas abortion law, just like I thought there's so much substance to discuss about cancel culture, especially with the demonetization of hot tub streamers. And it's a real shame that RobNoerr felt that his ad hom bullshit took precedence. I mean, it's a really big fucking shame. And look, I'm used to discussing these issues with people who I disagree with. I'm used to that. But I do that with people who come in good faith and come to have an exchange of ideas and to make points that are grounded in reality. And instead, what we got was someone name calling, talking over women. Notice, by the way, when RobNoerr talks over someone, it is more often than not a woman. And there's a reason for it. And like DemonMama pointed out, he's spineless. He likes to pretend that he's this big, strong man who has these deeply held issues, but then everything that comes out of his mouth is a projection. Everything that comes out of his mouth and that what he accuses other people of being is a projection, which is why something as small as a pronoun can set him off. Because somehow that threatens his sense of masculinity. You know, I wish yesterday, interestingly enough, I did a whole segment on toxic masculinity, identifying it, why it's harmful, and what we can do to stop it. I'd tell Rob to go watch it, but I'd hate to set him off and make him angry because I don't know that his blood pressure can take it. So, RobNoerr, you're not missed. Fare fucking well. And next time, call me a baby killer to my face. Call DemonMama all the slurs you wish you could call it to her face. You fucking scared child.
Well
I'm
then,
done.
Well, tell us how you really feel. I think you're holding back there a little bit.
that was a happy
Like,
note to end on.
Sorry, Phil. I know we should have ended with Phil because he like gets you so like positive and like hyped up, and then I just ended with that. I'm so, but Phil,
Maddie, yes, queen. Yes, queen. Yes, queen. Drop that mic. You deserve that.
I
No,
would
do
just-
it.
Be sure to follow Maddycakes, all these beautiful people on this beautiful platform. Come on, folks. You know it's the right thing to do.
I would like to
Every minute
remind you,
don't subscribe to any of us.
the first rule for until further notice, the first rule, the very first rule is please keep it civil at all times. Right, that's the very first rule of this, right?
Ooh, boy,
The
that
very,
took me
very
down.
first rule is please keep it civil at all times. And,
Yeah, we
and
did
what
not
happened
stick
tonight,
to
you
that,
did
did we?
not keep it civil.
That's like saying weed's illegal. It might be technical, but it ain't working out. Like,
Phil, if I ever someday have like a show in Vegas, I need you to be like my announcer because like there's no one better.
that would be
I'm not
awesome.
gonna lie. Phil, no offense. I find some of your filibustering obnoxious and too far into the kayfabe, but I appreciate your energy, and I think that you're a generally respectful and good person. I do not
I love
feel.
anybody that knows kayfabe.
Yeah. I mean, what's that? Listen, I'm a big wrestling fan. You should know that. If you talk to Dylan Burns, I love my fucking wrestling. Listen, I sent Dylan Burns a nice little wrestling trinket. He'll be getting it in a couple days here. So
Nice.
yeah. So, but you know, for all our differences, respect to you, Phil.
Yeah.
You're definitely 100 times above your peers on the right.
Yeah, Phil,
thank
and
you.
I want to add to you, Phil, as well, that yeah, there we go. There's Maddie, queen right there.
That's-
But anyways, Phil, oh, that's Dan. That's supposed to be
That's
Dylan, isn't
Dylan.
it?
He's
Oh, no.
angry at this panel.
he is
He's
angry.
angry. He's
Okay.
very angry that
Yeah.
he didn't
I wish I
OBA.
had that kind of hair.
I just want to say this to Phil. I want to say this to Phil. Phil, I like your energy as well. Just you are very loud and you take a lot of space. So just be careful that you run over people, and you may not know that you're doing it, but you do. So just keep an eye out for it. But I do like you here. I think that you have the respect.
Wait,
Just
is
make
this-
sure you let other people have space. That's
This is
all.
the appreciate Phil
Yeah.
ending. What?
It is what it
Right,
is.
Binx wants
Well,
to
I mean,
go.
you put on a
Binx-
really nice thing. so,
Binx
yeah.
feels
Binx is
trapped.
like, can I go continue
Binx,
drinking, please?
Binx, you can leave. You can leave. We'll
Okay.
Later,
see.
Maddie.
We'll see.
Hey,
We'll
Chad,
see you
if you
Sunday,
wanna
Binx.
swing
Bye,
by
guys.
after,
Good
feel free.
talking to you.
Holy
Bye,
crap.
everybody.
Thanks everyone
That's
for
fair.
coming
Bye,
on.
everyone.
Until further notice, we'll probably never be back after that. I don't know what the fuck that
Oh
was.
Lord, that was.
No,
was-
we're gonna make it
uh,
work.
No,
We're gonna make it work.
I'll speak to Rob and CTV.
Uh,
And there's just certain personalities that will never ever be able to talk to each other ever, and you could tell it from the
now,
group DM.
are we
I don't
streaming
know what you're
live right
talking
now?
about.
We're still
Are we
live. We're still live.
Oh, okay. All right.
But
We
yeah,
can talk
I had a
about the movie
personal,
set.
I had a personal story, but I'm not going to
I
get
mean,
into that on
the
air.
I think the movie
Alright,
topic
guys.
went down well, right? I think we should just
Hey,
do
Maddie.
all
Great.
movie
I love
topics.
The palate
That's what we'll
cleanser
do.
idea. I think that's such
Yeah.
a great way to break up a debate, especially when you're talking about
Mhm.
contentious things. I think it's fantastic. Also, it's
Yep.
just fun.
We should just do
for
palate
panelists
cleansers
to
all
talk
the way
about
through.
that.
I don't think we should ever
That
do
was one of the
serious
more
topics
fun
again.
parts of the night.
But yeah,
Well, the other one that we did, what was it last weekend? It was about your favorite sub, like sandwich, and we had, and it could be sandwich. It could be like you could interpret sub however you wanted. So I was like, oh well, my favorite submarine is a nuclear sub because my college was across the river from a Navy base where it was like a nuclear submarine base. So I was like, okay, well, that's my favorite one. And it was so fun. There were and like, people had strong opinions. Like it was team chicken parm versus like Philly cheesesteak. So it was great. But anyways, I'm gonna
Thank you,
head
Maddie.
out. Thanks guys. I really appreciate you.
thanks, Binks. Thanks, Phil.
Later, Maddie. Oh God, this was quite the event, quite the. So now to me, I don't know. People are starting to say like, Phil, why did you throw in your steel chair? That was like, that was the funniest moment to do it. Why is everybody riding my ass on this? This is the perfect moment. Throwing chairs? Let's just fuck it. Let's do it. But
Never got
it's
to use
what it is.
mine.
Well, I know. I was waiting for somebody to hit me with a chair, and I was going to steel man the pro-choice position, and I'd actually been thinking that one over in my head this afternoon. It's like, all right, I'm probably going to steel man the pro-choice position. So, well, for another day.
Anyway,
But yes, Danabo, I think the one thing is either make the panel vote on it,
I'm
or
gonna do
you
it.
decide.
I'm gonna have to do it. I'm gonna have to listen very carefully to the arguments, and I'm gonna have to do it because I can't trust grown adults to argue in good faith. I can't believe it. People I know as well.
That was really you were setting us all up to fail, really. At that
People
point,
I've
if you
known
thought
for
we were-
months. I've known them for months, and they would never do that to me. So I guess I can't expect them to be
But
with
yeah,
each
boy,
other.
Rob and Demon Mama got fucking pissed.
Yeah.
Like, whoa, howling at the moon, pissed.
was
It's like,
bad.
this isn't about this topic, is it, all y'all?
No, it wasn't about the topic. But yeah, thanks
But-
everyone. Thanks, Phil.
Hey,
And
man,
I'll invite you
God
back soon.
bless you,
Take
man.
care.
I will catch you on the flip side, sir.
All right, chat. It's been a night. It's been a night. That was weird, but also fun. And I hope Rob and CTV come back because they are two of my favorite people on Twitch. And that was a bit too much for CTV. I understand he doesn't like toxicity, and neither do I. So, until further notice, we'll be back probably next week, actually. So, wish me luck. I'm finding guests for next week. Where we'll be on Sunday with Hippie Dipper Super Sunday. And yeah, Friday with Until Further Notice. Stay dank, stay woke, stay cloudy, stay comrade, stay French, and stay gay. And remember, if you can't make the world a better place, at least try not to make it any worse than when you found it. And yeah, love you all, and take care. Be good. Oh, put some dank clouds in DemonMama's chat. And tell her I'm sorry. Right, see you in a bit. Bye.